Chapter 37:20. Qin Feiyang, we can't hold on much longer. The sword of the Grim Reaper roared. If you can't hold on, just surrender. Don't force yourself. The Ice Phoenix clan is also willing to let go of our past grudges and accept you. The 4 Ice Phoenixes said. Let go of our past grudges and accept us. What is the Ice Phoenix clan? Are you qualified to make us work for you? The sword of the Grim Reaper smiled disdainfully. Don't be so shameless. It's your honor that we're willing to take you in. If you really want to die, we can fulfill your wish. The 4 of them sneered. Do you really think you're sure to win? The sword of the Grim Reaper sneered. Qin Feiyang had been paying attention to his surroundings the entire time. Seeing that no one had come out for a long time, he couldn't help but frown. He turned to the Blood Ancestor and secretly said, I'll have to trouble you to help me finish this play. Can't you be considerate of the old man? How can an old man withstand such torment? The Blood Ancestor was helpless. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. Isn't it because you're too much of a threat to them? As long as you're here, they won't dare to show up. Fine. Capable people do more work. The Blood Ancestor nodded. The power of death suddenly rolled out, and then he activated the moment of time and rushed to the battlefield like lightning. When they saw this scene, the 4 members of the Ice Phoenix clan were immediately filled with bewilderment. How dare he interfere in the battle of the sovereign divine weapons? The Blood Ancestor must be crazy. Although he was indeed very strong at his peak, he hadn't recovered to his peak state yet. Wait. Suddenly, they looked at the surging power of death around the Blood Ancestor and their expressions changed drastically. This aura, this strength, what the hell? His law of death had reached the level of the ultimate profound. Why didn't the 3 old men say anything about such a big thing? Don't panic. We didn't know that his power of death had reached the level of the ultimate profound. But it doesn't matter. Now that the 3 sovereign divine weapons and the Blood Ancestor are restrained by the profound ice divine hammer, we can wait for an opportunity to attack Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo. The voices of the green-robed elder and the other 2 resounded in the minds of the 4. This was just to appease the 4 of them. If the 4 of them were to find out that they had been hiding something from them, it would undoubtedly infuriate them. At that time, the spearhead might even turn towards them. He had heard of it. The 4 members of the Ice Phoenix clan glanced at each other, but didn't think too much about it. After all, hiding one's strength was a very common thing. Immediately, they turned in the air, circled around the battlefield, and charged toward Qin Feiyang and the madman. Meanwhile, the green-robed old man and his 2 companions finally moved. A murderous look flashed in their eyes. They quietly entered the mountain below, and lurked towards the place where Qin Feiyang and his companion were. Although they could instantly kill Qin Feiyang and the madman with their strength, these 2 young people had always been full of miracles. Therefore, if there was a chance to kill him in one strike, it would be the best. I can feel that killing intent again. There's no mistake. There's still a group of people hiding here. Be careful. Qin Feiyang's eyes narrowed slightly as he secretly warned Madman. All right. The madman responded. Then, the 2 of them turned around and looked at the 4 members of the Ice Phoenix clan. Seeing this, Princess Huifeng secretly reminded them, you 2 be careful. The 4 of them are at the same level as Bing Changtian and my father. Qin Feiyang and the madman were stunned. At the same level as Bing Changtian and the Fire Feng people? Didn't that mean that they were just super strong and hadn't mastered the ultimate ultimacy? They had always thought that the 4 of them were also the reclusive old antiques of the Feng people. This time, there are a total of 25 people from the Feng people. Except for me, Daifuku, and Bing Running, the other 22 people, 10 of them are the ancestors of the Feng people who have mastered the ultimate ultimacy. The remaining 12 are the elders of the Ice Phoenix clan. Their strength is similar to my father's. The 4 of them are the elders of the Ice Phoenix clan. They are very close to Bing Changtian, so the 4 Dominator divine weapons were given to them. Princess Wufeng secretly explained. I see. Qin Feiyang and the madman nodded. Because the Feng people only had 2 major clans, the Ice Phoenix clan and the Fire Phoenix clan, they only had 2 clan leaders, unlike the Kylan clan and the Dragon's clan, who both had 10 clan leaders. Of course. This alone didn't mean that the Feng people were inferior to the Dragon's clan and the Kylan clan. It was just that the other super strong experts of the Ice Phoenix clan and the Fire Phoenix clan weren't clan leaders, so they were relatively unknown and not many people paid attention to them. Only super strong experts. Then you go and deal with them. The madman laughed. I don't need to do it. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. As his voice fell, 4 incarnations appeared and said, I'll leave it to you. No problem. The 4 incarnations laughed loudly and leaped toward the 4 people. You actually only sent your incarnations to fight with us. Who are you looking down on? The 4 people were furious. They instantly activated their supreme profound meanings. Basically, each of them had mastered a supreme law. This level of strength was also quite terrifying. If it were other young people, they wouldn't dare to fight at all. Unfortunately, they encountered Qin Feiyang. Although there were only 4 incarnations, if they looked down on them because of this, they would suffer a great loss. So what if I look down on you? The 4 incarnations clamored. The eye of heaven opened. All the supreme profound meanings of the 4 people were copied in an instant. Boom! A chaotic battle began. The 4 people of the Ice Phoenix clan became more and more frightened as they fought. Was he a human or a ghost? The 4 incarnations had all the means that Qin Feiyang had. But it didn't matter. There were still the 3 old antiques. When they attacked, no matter how strong Qin Feiyang was, he would only die. Looking at the green-robed elder and the other 2. At this time, they had also sneaked over. Old Qin, if the other group has a reclusive old antique, do you think we should seize this opportunity to subdue them? Madman was constantly paying attention to the surrounding movements and asked. Subdue? Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback. This idea is not bad. After all, the reclusive old antiques have mastered the ultimate profound meanings. However, the other party must have left their divine souls outside and aren't afraid of death. So, to subdue them, they must be willing. Willing? Then forget it. Madman shook his head. How could the old antiques of the 3 races willingly submit to them? Whether it was the battle between the demon ancestor and the 7 sovereign weapons, or the 4 incarnations and the 4 Ice Phoenix clan members, they were all extremely intense. Qin Feiyang and Madman wanted to observe the ultimate profound meaning of the death law, but they didn't dare to be distracted now. Finally, the green-robed elder and the other 2 attacked. The 3 great laws appeared and instantly exploded with a terrifying destructive force, attacking Qin Feiyang and Madman. There are still 3. Madman was shocked. Fortunately, Qin Feiyang had always been sensitive to killing intent and sensed it in advance. Otherwise, facing the sneak attack of the 3 reclusive old antiques, he might have suffered a great loss. Die! The 4 people of the Ice Phoenix clan also laughed. At the scene, only Princess Wufeng was a little absent-minded. She didn't expect there to be 3 old antiques hiding. She became nervous. However, when she thought that Qin Feiyang still had the Ice Phoenix sword and the 2 great divine swords, she immediately relaxed. Instead, she sympathized with the 3 reclusive old antiques. Because she also understood. The reason why Qin Feiyang didn't let the Ice Dragon sword and the 2 great divine swords appear was definitely because he sensed that there were other people nearby. In other words, Qin Feiyang and Madman were waiting for these three people to take the initiative to appear. But the green-robed elder and the other two didn't know. They thought that Qin Feiyang and Madman were already fish on the chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered by them. On their faces, there was a proud smile. But suddenly, Qin Feiyang and Madman lowered their heads to look at the three of them. The three of them were stunned. What was going on? Why couldn't they find the slightest bit of panic on the faces of these two little bastards? I've been waiting for you for a long time. Madman grinned. What? How long have you been waiting for us? You discovered us long ago. How is this possible? The three of them were in extreme disbelief. Previously, they didn't reveal the slightest bit of their aura, nor did they make the slightest sound. How could they be discovered by Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo? Don't panic. So what if they discover us? Without the sovereign divine weapon, they are not your match at all. The four people of the Ice Phoenix clan shouted. That's right. We have grasped the ultimate profound meaning. The green-robed elder and the other three finally calmed their minds. The power of the three great laws was like a tide, destroying everything in all directions as it surged towards Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo. Your three clans have suffered a lot in our hands, yet you still don't learn from your mistakes. Since we have already discovered you, we naturally have the confidence to deal with you. Otherwise, why would we still be acting here for so long? We would have escaped long ago. Qin Feiyang shook his head and sneered as the Ice Phoenix sword appeared. What? Ice Phoenix sword? Why is the Ice Phoenix sword in his hands? Whether it was the green-robed elder or the four people of the Ice Phoenix clan, they were all shocked. Even the profound Ice Divine Hammer and the other four sovereign divine weapons were stunned to the extreme. The Ice Phoenix sword was the sovereign divine weapon of their Ice Phoenix clan. It had always been in the hands of Bing Running, but now it was in the hands of Qin Feiyang. What was going on? Clang! As soon as the Ice Phoenix sword appeared, its terrifying sharpness was earth-shattering. The power of the three great laws couldn't resist at all and directly turned into nothingness. I'll give you a chance, submit to Qin Feiyang. The Ice Phoenix sword shouted condescendingly. What? Help Qin Feiyang recruit troops. The four people of the Ice Phoenix clan were a little confused. What was going on? In fact, they had already thought that the Ice Phoenix sword had submitted to Qin Feiyang, but this was too terrifying. Thinking about it made their hair stand on end, so they didn't want to believe it. Submit to Qin Feiyang. Are you dreaming? The green-robed elder and the other two were stunned and immediately laughed in anger. In that case, I can only announce that your trip to the Sky Bell Divine Treasure has come to an end. The Ice Phoenix sword smiled coldly, and waves of sword chi shattered the heaven and earth as it attacked the three people. Chapter 37:21. The heavens are unfair. Why are they only helping Qin Feiyang? The green-robed old man and the other two roared, their hearts filled with anger and injustice. The heavens are helping me. What a joke. Everything I have today is because of my hard work. Only a person without ambition would beg the heavens for mercy. Qin Feiyang snorted coldly. You're really bold. You even dare to blaspheme the heavens. Just you wait. You'll get your retribution sooner or later. The three of them laughed as a destructive aura burst out from their bodies. Their physical bodies exploded in the void. Self-destruction. As expected, they'd rather die than submit. The madman shook his head regretfully. The Grim Reaper's sword moved and erased the explosion of the three. They self-destructed just like that. The four from the Ice Phoenix clan stopped and stood there dumbfounded. Are you waiting to be tortured if you don't self-destruct? The four incarnations sneered. The four of them quivered. That's right. If they didn't self-destruct, they would be tortured to death. Instead of being tortured and humiliated, they might as well self-destruct. Mysterious Sky Divine Hammer, run. Don't fall into their hands. The four of them looked at the four sovereign divine weapons and roared, decisively choosing to self-destruct. Boom! The destructive aura rushed in all directions and the four incarnations were annihilated on the spot. The Grim Reaper's sword moved again and quickly erased the explosion. They're all wiped out just like that. Princess Huifeng was also dumbfounded by this scene. She thought that the four sovereign divine weapons, 3 reclusive old antiques, and 4 supreme experts would be able to fight for a while. She didn't expect that the result would be so weak. Clang! Clang! The 4 supreme experts had self-destructed, and the 4 sovereign divine weapons didn't dare to continue fighting. They shook off the 3 sovereign divine weapons and wanted to escape. Since you're here, don't think about leaving. Qin Feiyang sneered. The Ice Phoenix sword pierced through the sky and blocked the 4 sovereign divine weapons. Ice Phoenix sword, you really joined Qin Feiyang? The mysterious Ice Divine Hammer roared. A fine bird chooses a good tree to nest in. Ice Phoenix sword said indifferently. Clang! Before he finished speaking. Accompanied by 2 sword cries, the 2 trump cards, the Gold Sun Divine Sword and the Silver Moon Divine Sword, finally appeared and arrived in front of the Ice Phoenix sword like lightning. The 6 sovereign divine weapons, together with the Ancestral Devil, surrounded the 4 sovereign divine weapons. Why are there 2 more sovereign weapons? The Profound Ice Divine Hammer, the Profound Ice Divine Bow, the Profound Sky Divine Sword, and the Profound Sky Fan. He never expected that Qin Feiyang still had such a terrifying trump card. This was really playing the pig to eat the tiger. The Blood Ancestor sneered. Submit obediently, or you will all face destruction today. After all, you are not like those pieces of trash who left their divine souls outside. The 4 sovereigns' divine weapons were extremely flustered. Who would have thought that a sure-win situation would turn out like this? Qin Feiyang, stop. At this moment, Princess Huifeng flew over under the Fire Phoenix sword's lead, protecting the Black Ice Divine Hammer and the 4 sovereign weapons. The 4 sovereigns' divine weapons were astonished by this scene. One had to know. They wanted to kill the first princess before, so they never expected that Princess Huifeng would help them. But they never expected that the first princess would take the initiative to protect them. But at the same time, Qin Feiyang, the Blood Ancestor, and the madman couldn't help but frown. Princess Huifeng looked at Qin Feiyang with pleading eyes and said, "You promised me that you wouldn't hurt the people of the Feng people, including the sovereign divine weapons. Who told you that it includes the sovereign divine weapons? Moreover, the 4 people from before self-destructed. What does it have to do with me?" Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. The death of those 4 people has nothing to do with you, but these 4 sovereign divine weapons are also the people of the Feng people. Princess Huifeng said. Are they human? They are clearly divine weapons. The madman was very angry. Divine weapons have spirits, so they are also living beings. Moreover, their artifact spirits are in human form, so they are considered half-human. Princess Huifeng protected the 4 sovereign divine weapons and didn't let Qin Feiyang and the others attack no matter what. Can you not resort to sophistry? Don't challenge our patience. If you provoke us, we will kill you too. Qin Feiyang glared at her. He knew that he couldn't bring this woman with him. See, now there was trouble. If he had known this would happen, he would have driven this woman away. Then kill me. We have 6 sovereign divine weapons on our side anyway. You can't stop them even if you kill me. After Princess Huifeng finished speaking, she simply closed her eyes and waited for death. Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead. Why was it so troublesome? How about this? The madman said telepathically. Qin Feiyang looked at him suspiciously. Let the 4 sovereign divine weapons swear a blood oath to be loyal to this woman forever. This way, when she gets together with the white-eyed wolf, it is equivalent to being our sovereign divine weapons. Without the sovereign divine weapons, the strength of the Ice Phoenix clan will be greatly reduced. It will be much easier to kill Bing Running and Bing Changtian in the future. The madman thought. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said, "This is the only way now. It seems that in the future, we will have to work harder to bring her and the white-eyed wolf together. We can't let others take advantage of us." That's right. When we find those ingrates, even if we have to use some despicable means, we'll make them cook the rice that's already been cooked. The madman laughed secretly. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but roll his eyes when he heard this. This was too despicable. Whoosh! Taking a deep breath, Qin Feiyang looked at the 4 sovereign divine weapons and said indifferently, "I can let you go, but you have to promise me one thing." "What is it?" The Black Ice Divine Hammer was suspicious. Qin Feiyang said, "Swear a blood oath to be loyal to the eldest princess of the Fire Phoenix clan forever." What? Princess Huifeng opened her eyes and looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. How could she encounter such a good thing? If the 4 sovereign divine weapons really made a blood oath, then all 9 of the sovereign divine weapons of the Feng people would be in the hands of the Fire Phoenix clan. In the future, the Ice Phoenix clan would never have the chance to challenge the position of the Fire Phoenix clan. In this way, Qin Feiyang had done her a big favor. Seeing that the 4 sovereign divine weapons didn't say anything, Qin Feiyang's eyes turned cold and murderous. There is no room for negotiation. Okay. The 4 sovereign divine weapons finally accepted. In this situation, what else could they do but accept? Because they saw that Princess Huifeng was also tempted by Qin Feiyang's condition. If they didn't agree, Princess Huifeng might be angry and join forces with Qin Feiyang to suppress them. One had to know. Qin Feiyang had 6 sovereign divine weapons and a terrifying old devil. If he added the Fire Phoenix Divine Jade and the Fire Phoenix Sword, they would have no way to survive. You know what's good for you. Qin Feiyang sneered and then instructed the 4 sovereign divine weapons to make a blood oath. When the oath was made, the 4 sovereign divine weapons immediately became obedient. They didn't dare to have the slightest disobedience to Princess Huifeng. Remember, you are only loyal to one person now, and that is the eldest princess in front of you. In the future, even Feng Ho has no right to order you. Qin Feiyang said. Understood. The 4 sovereign divine weapons responded. The madman glanced at Princess Huifeng and laughed secretly. Now, we are only missing the white-eyed wolf. You don't really want to do such a wicked thing, do you? Qin Feiyang was surprised. In extraordinary times, extraordinary means must be used. Madman chuckled inwardly. Qin Feiyang looked at the sky speechlessly for a long time before saying, "Up to you. Just don't play with fire. You know the white-eyed wolf's personality. If you provoke it, I can't control it. Damn. This is for his sake, okay? He should be thanking me." The madman cursed secretly. Okay, you can do whatever you want. Qin Feiyang couldn't win, so he chose to surrender. He looked at the blood ancestor and asked, "Are you familiar with those 3 reclusive old antiques?" "I have a little impression. They are the antiques of the dragons." The blood ancestor nodded. "Those dragons have sacrificed a lot now." Qin Feiyang smiled. Boom. However, at this moment, a terrifying aura suddenly came from the northwest. What's going on? Qin Feiyang and the others were shocked and hurriedly looked up. The blood ancestor frowned. It seems to be the aura of the golden dragon spear, white dragon sword, and black dragon mirror. Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback. After carefully sensing for a moment, a smile appeared in his eyes. It was really them. If he had sensed the aura of the golden dragon spear in the past, he would have been on guard, but it was different now. But why would they come here? It seems that it's not just their auras. There are also the auras of the dragon's other sovereign divine weapons, the other patriarchs of the dragons, and those reclusive old antiques. Qin Feiyang, the madman, the blood ancestor, and Princess Hufeng looked at each other and immediately put away their sovereign divine weapons and hid in the void. A moment later. Finally. A group of people arrived in a grandiose manner. As expected. Apart from Long Chen, everyone from the dragons was present. I remember that the dragons came with a total of 21 people. Long Chen, the 10 patriarchs, and the 10 reclusive old antiques. The golden dragons are long, the black dragons are long, the silver dragons are long, the white dragons are long, and the old antique who grew up with the silver dragons are long, as well as the 3 old antiques from before. They all died in our hands. So now the dragons are only left with 6 patriarchs and 6 old antiques. But you didn't subdue the silver dragon God Bao, and the blood dragon blade has been with us for a long time. Now the dragons still have 6 sovereign divine weapons. 6 sovereign divine weapons, 6 reclusive old antiques, and 6 supreme experts. This lineup is a bit scary. The madman chuckled. Although he said it was scary, he didn't look nervous at all. There was indeed no need to be nervous. After all, Qin Feiyang had 6 sovereign divine weapons, and with the golden dragon spear and the other 3, he had 9. This didn't even include the blood ancestor. As for Princess Hufeng, she also had 6 sovereign divine weapons. It could be said that she was a woman that no one dared to provoke. If Qin Feiyang and the others really fought with the dragons, then Princess Hufeng definitely wouldn't act like before. She would definitely help. The fluctuations of the battle just now came from here. But why is there no one here? The group of people from the dragon tribe flew over and looked at the devastated land, their faces full of suspicion. The swamp had long since been reduced to ashes by the clash between the sovereign weapons. Chapter 37:22. Wait. Suddenly. One of the patriarchs frowned. What's wrong? Everyone looked at him suspiciously. The person who spoke was the patriarch of the blood dragons. He said in a deep voice, there seems to be the auras of Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo here. He already hated Qin Feiyang and Madman to the core. Back then, Qin Feiyang not only stole his ruler divine weapon, the blood dragon blade, but also suppressed him in the soul-sealing valley and tortured him. Therefore, all these years, he had been thinking about revenge at every moment. Their auras are indeed here. The other 5 patriarchs also nodded, their eyes flashing with killing intent. Because back then, other than the silver dragons, the 9 patriarchs of the dragons had all stayed in the soul-sealing valley. It was a living hell. So now, when Qin Feiyang and Madman were mentioned, their hearts burned with anger. However, they didn't know that the golden dragon spear, white dragon sword, and black dragon mirror were all calculating in their hearts. The blood dragons closed his eyes and carefully sensed for a moment. Other than Qin Feiyang and Madman, there are also the auras of the ancient castle, the sword of Thanatos, the demon palace's ruler divine weapon, the daughter of the fire foam people, and the 5 ruler divine weapons of the ice phoenix race. Wait. There are also the auras of the 3 patriarchs. The blood dragon's body shook, and he couldn't help but open his eyes. He scanned his surroundings and said in shock, it seems that the foam people and the 3 patriarchs were fighting with Qin Feiyang. No. There's also a familiar aura. One of the reclusive old antique's eyes trembled slightly. That's right. It's him. That old demon blood ancestor. He's also in the Sky Bell divine treasure. The other old antiques also spoke, their faces full of disbelief. Blood ancestor? Are you talking about the blood ancestor, one of the 3 leaders of the human race? The blood dragons and the others were shocked. That's right. The reclusive old antiques nodded. Impossible. Didn't he die back then? The 6 patriarchs shook their heads, as if they found it hard to accept this fact. This was because when the blood ancestor and Li Feng appeared, everyone had already entered the Heaven Bell divine treasure. In addition, the blood ancestor and Li Feng had been very low-key in the sky cloud realm all these years. Therefore, only the Dragon King, Feng Ho, the Qilin Master, the Feather Emperor, and the little rabbit knew about the blood ancestor's return. There's no mistake. It's his aura. This old devil is actually still alive. A few reclusive old antiques scanned their surroundings, their eyes filled with fear. The blood ancestor's strength has already reached the pinnacle. Even our Dragon King couldn't defeat him back then. Now that he's actually come to the Heavenly Bell divine treasure, wouldn't we be doomed if we were to encounter him in the future? One of the patriarchs said solemnly. Hearing this, everyone fell silent. Their hearts were especially heavy. In the dark, the blood ancestor looked at Qin Feiyang and the others and chuckled. Do you see that? This is the power of this ancestor. Just the mention of this ancestor's name is enough to make a group of elders and reclusive antiques tremble in fear. Amazing. Qin Feiyang gave him a thumbs up. This wasn't a compliment, but the truth. Not to mention the patriarchs, who were more powerful than him, but the reclusive old antiques of the 3 major races were all existences who had grasped the ultimate mysteries. Looking at the entire human race, perhaps only the blood ancestor and the Feather Emperor could scare them to this extent. Should we make a move? Madman asked secretly. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed as he glanced at Princess Wufeng. That depends on what position our first princess is in. Although the dragons had already suffered heavy losses, their current force didn't pose any threat to him at all. After all, they now had the sword of the Grim Reaper, the ancient castle, the Crimson Longsword, the Ice Phoenix Sword, the Golden Sun Divine Sword, the Silver Moon Divine Sword, and the Golden Dragon Spear. The dragons, on the other hand, only had 6 patriarchs, 6 old antiques, and 6 sovereign divine weapons. The 6 patriarchs and 6 old antiques weren't a problem at all. The blood ancestor alone could deal with them. But if Princess Wufeng wanted to consider the big picture and help the dragons, then it would be difficult to deal with them. After all, Princess Wufeng alone had 6 sovereign divine weapons. If Princess Wufeng helped the dragons, then their advantage would be gone. If Princess Wufeng were to help them, it would be much easier for them to deal with the remaining members of the dragon clan. And if Princess Wufeng was the same as before, she was neutral and didn't want to help either side. With Qin Feiyang's current strength, it would be very difficult for them to forcefully subdue the 6 sovereign divine weapons. Because in terms of numbers, Qin Feiyang's group only had an advantage, but they didn't have an absolute advantage. Madman couldn't help but glance at Princess Wufeng. Why are you looking at me? My original intention is to help you. But I'm afraid that the Dragon King will hold a grudge against the Feng people. Princess Wufeng was a little hesitant. As long as we can subdue these 6 sovereign divine weapons, it's equivalent to all the dragon's sovereign divine weapons falling into our hands. At that time, we won't even have a single sovereign divine weapon. Even if the Dragon King holds a grudge against the Feng people, what can he do? Madman said disdainfully. That's true. Princess Wufeng nodded. Then what's your position? Madman asked. Princess Wufeng hesitated for a moment and was about to speak. Eldest princess, you have to think carefully. If you help Qin Feiyang like this, even Lord Feng Ho might be angered by you. After all, Qin Feiyang is the common enemy of our 3 races. If you help Qin Feiyang subdue the dragon's sovereign divine weapons, it's equivalent to weakening the dragon's strength. If we weaken the dragon's strength now, it's equivalent to weakening our own strength. That's right. If all the dragon's sovereign divine weapons fall into their hands, then they will have 15 sovereign divine weapons. No. There's also the blood dragon blade, the Horsetail Whisk, and the Demon Palace's sovereign divine weapons. That's 18 sovereign divine weapons. 18 sovereign divine weapons, plus the Land of Buried Gods Feather Emperor and the Blood Ancestor. In the future, when facing them, even if our three races form an alliance, we can only bow our heads. The 4 sovereign divine weapons, the Xiantian divine hammer, saw that Princess Hufeng wanted to help Qin Feiyang and immediately advised her. Princess, we have to look at the big picture. Although the dragons don't have a good relationship with the Feng people, we can't break this balance. The Fire Phoenix Divine Jade and Fire Phoenix Sword also said. Hearing this, Princess Hufeng fell into a dilemma. Qin Feiyang, the mad scientist, and the Blood Ancestor looked at each other and frowned. This woman had become an uncertain factor. Princess Hufeng finally looked at Qin Feiyang and the mad scientist and sighed. I choose to be neutral. Please understand my difficulties. Okay, we understand. The mad scientist was so angry that he laughed. Don't be like this, okay? You're making me feel bad. Princess Hufeng sighed. Humph. The mad scientist snorted and looked at Qin Feiyang and the Blood Ancestor. Even if she doesn't help, with our strength, we can still subdue the dragons. The remaining 6 sovereign divine weapons will just be a bit harder. Then let's do it. The Blood Ancestor thought. As long as they could subdue the 6 sovereign divine weapons, the strength of the human race would surpass the 3 forbidden lands. In the future, whether it was facing the divine kingdom or the 3 races, they would have a better chance of winning. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. At the same time, the blood dragons looked at the golden dragon spear and the 3 sovereign divine weapons and asked, "Where are you taking us?" Qin Feiyang paused and stopped the Blood Ancestor and the mad scientist. He looked suspiciously at the golden dragon spear, white dragon sword, and black dragon mirror. They were the ones leading the team. Don't worry. You'll know soon. I promise to give you a big surprise. White dragon sword smiled. Heard about it. The 6 patriarchs and the 6 old antiques couldn't help but look expectant. What should we do? We all thought Qin Feiyang was still cultivating there, but we didn't expect him to come here. The black dragon mirror asked the golden dragon spear and white dragon sword. It's a bit unexpected. We wanted to give him a surprise, but now, who knows where he went? The golden dragon spear sighed. What are the 3 of you plotting? Suddenly, a familiar voice sounded in their minds. Qin Feiyang. The golden dragon spear and the 3 sovereign divine weapons were stunned. He hadn't left yet. He was hiding in the dark. Then, they were overjoyed. We were just thinking about how to find you. How is it? The surprise we brought you is good enough, right? The golden dragon spear said. Surprise? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. After we left, we rushed to the rendezvous point of the dragons and found an excuse to lure them here so that you could catch them all in one fell swoop. White Dragon Sword laughed. This, Qin Feiyang looked at the 3 sovereign divine weapons in shock and asked, in other words, you're going to take them to find us now? Yes. The 3 sovereign divine weapons replied in secret. Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched. So it was a scheme hatched by these 3. How ruthless. But he liked it. How is it? Are you confident? The golden dragon spear asked. Qin Feiyang said, as long as you can injure one of the sovereign divine weapons by surprise, I'm confident. If they could injure one of the sovereign divine weapons, the dragons would only have 5 sovereign divine weapons left. On their side, with the golden dragon spear and the 3 sovereign divine weapons, they had 9 sovereign divine weapons and a powerful blood progenitor. It was a 2-on-1 situation. If they still couldn't defeat the dragons, then let alone others, even he would have to call himself trash. That's not a problem. The 3 sovereign divine weapons were confident. With 3 sovereign divine weapons, wouldn't it be easy for them to ambush one of the sovereign divine weapons? Okay. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He secretly told the madman and the blood progenitor about the situation, and their eyes lit up. Attack! Qin Feiyang shouted. Boom! The golden dragon spear, the black dragon mirror, and the white dragon sword came to life and attacked one of the sovereign divine weapons. The sovereign divine weapon was right next to them. Never did it think that the golden dragon spear and the other 2 sovereign divine weapons would suddenly attack it. With a loud clang, the sovereign divine weapon was sent flying, and cracks appeared on its body. Chapter 37-23. Golden Dragon Spear, what are you doing? This sudden scene caused the 6 patriarchs, the 6 reclusive old antiques, and the 5 sovereign divine weapons to change their expressions. The golden dragon spear and the other 2 sovereign divine weapons turned a deaf ear to him and charged toward the sovereign divine weapon again. Clang! In the face of 2 fatal attacks, the sovereign divine weapon shattered into pieces. Damn it, are you crazy? One of the reclusive old antiques roared. They are not crazy. At this moment, a cold laugh sounded. This voice, the expressions of the Dragon Clan members changed abruptly. Wasn't this the voice of that little bastard Qin Feiyang? Boom! The next moment, accompanied by a terrifying aura, the ancient castle, the Grim Reaper's sword, the Ice Phoenix sword, the Red Long sword, the Golden Sun divine sword, and the Silver Moon divine sword appeared from the void. Qin Feiyang and the other 3 also appeared from their invisible state. What? They have been hiding here all this time. 6 sovereign divine weapons. Blood Ancestor. Wait, why is the Ice Phoenix sword with them? Princess Fire Phoenix, what are you doing? The group of people glared at Princess Huafeng and roared, don't forget that we have already formed an alliance. The Ice Phoenix sword is no longer the Feng people's sovereign divine weapon. Princess Huafeng shook her head and sighed, retreating to the side. What? The Ice Phoenix sword has also been subdued by Qin Feiyang. The group of people's faces were filled with disbelief. But there was no time to think. The ancient castle's 6 sovereign divine weapons and the 3 sovereign divine weapons joined forces to attack the group of people. Bastard! You actually betrayed us. The group of Dragon Clan members finally understood. They turned around and began to flee. Where do you think you are going? The demon ancestor waved his hand, and the power of death enveloped all directions like a tide. This is, the group of people's expressions changed again. The strength of this power of death had actually reached the level of the ultimate profound meaning. One of the old antiques looked at the 6 sovereign divine weapons and roared, hurry up and run, we will cover your retreat. If the 3 sovereign divine weapons hadn't betrayed them, they would have a great advantage. But now, 3 sovereign divine weapons had joined Qin Feiyang, and 1 sovereign divine weapon had been severely damaged. There were only 5 sovereign divine weapons left. Qin Feiyang, on the other hand, had 9 sovereign weapons and the blood ancestor. Not to mention winning, he didn't even have the courage to fight. The 6 sovereign divine weapons rushed toward the golden dragon spear, white dragon sword, and black dragon mirror in an attempt to break through the encirclement. The golden dragon spear and the other 2 sovereign divine weapons were also doing their best to stop him. Go to hell. The 6 sovereigns' divine weapons, including the ancient castle, arrived. Their terrifying divine might shook heaven and earth. The 6 reclusive old antiques roared, Princess Fire Phoenix, we are allies now. How can you leave us in the lurch? Quickly help us. Princess Huafeng turned a deaf ear. She already felt very guilty for not helping Qin Feiyang, so how could she help the dragons? Bastard! Qin Feiyang, the dragons and you are irreconcilable. The 6 reclusive old antiques looked at each other, and a trace of ferocity crept onto their faces. Suddenly, a destructive aura rushed out of their bodies. The 6 of them exploded in the void, and a terrifying destructive force swept out in all directions. The 6 patriarchs didn't even have time to react before they were killed by the self-detonation. This was because self-detonation was uncontrollable. Whether it was their opponents or their companions, they would all be affected. Self-detonation is useful. The sword of the Thanatos sneered. The 9 sovereign divine weapons attacked at the same time, but in an instant, they suppressed the waves of self-detonation. Then, they continued to attack the 6 sovereign divine weapons. Keep an eye on Princess Fire Phoenix. Don't let her cause trouble. The Blood Ancestor secretly warned Qin Feiyang and the mad scientist. Then, he charged into the battlefield with a terrifying power of death. The power of death around him was on par with the divine might of the sovereign divine weapons. Qin Feiyang and the mad scientist looked at each other. They paid attention to the battlefield while paying attention to Princess Hufeng. Fortunately, Princess Hufeng didn't show any signs of making a move. The mad scientist secretly said, "Old Qin, didn't you say that you would join forces with the 3 major races to rescue Li Feng and the others? Why are you still trying to kill them? I did think of joining forces with them. But now, the opportunity is right in front of us. It would be a pity if we miss it. Let's talk about it later." The only ones who can truly fight against the Divine King of Primal Chaos, the Primal Chaos Royal City, and the 10 Demon Kings are these sovereign divine weapons. As for the patriarchs and reclusive old antiques, although they are very strong in the sky cloud realm, they can only be cannon fodder in the face of terrifying existences like the Divine King of Primal Chaos. Qin Feiyang said. That's true. The mad scientist nodded. Qin Feiyang secretly said, so, we only need to subdue these sovereign divine weapons. The battle became more and more intense. Facing the storm of attacks from the Blood Ancestor, the Ancient Castle, and the other 9 sovereign divine weapons, the other 5 sovereign divine weapons were gradually covered in wounds. Princess, are we really going to sit back and watch? If this continues, the remaining 6 sovereign divine weapons of the dragons will fall into Qin Feiyang's hands sooner or later. The mysterious Sky Divine Hammer and the other sovereign divine weapons were extremely anxious. If the Feng people and Qin Feiyang were friends and companions, then this scene was naturally what they wanted to see. But the problem now was, the Feng people and Qin Feiyang were opponents. Let's not talk about the dragons first, let's talk about Qin Feiyang first. The stronger Qin Feiyang was, the greater the threat to the Feng people in the future. Don't say any more. Princess Hufeng was a little angry. The Fire Phoenix Divine Jade persuaded, Princess, we know that you like the Golden-Winged Wolf King, but now that the Golden-Winged Wolf King is dead, you don't have to remember these old feelings. What did you say? Princess, you like the Golden-Winged Wolf King? The Mysterious Ice Divine Hammer, Mysterious Ice Divine Bow, Mysterious Sky Divine Sword, and Mysterious Sky Fan were all shocked. Yes. The Fire Phoenix Divine Jade replied. Princess, you are the princess of the Fire Phoenix clan and the future of the Feng people is on your shoulders. How can you ignore the safety of the Feng people because of a little love? You're being silly. The 4 sovereign divine weapons shouted. Hearing these words, Princess Hufeng's face showed a painful expression. After a while, she looked at Qin Feiyang and the mad scientist and sighed. This is the last time. I will definitely consider the big picture in the future. Sigh. The 4 sovereign divine weapons couldn't help but sigh helplessly. They never thought that the princess would have feelings for the Golden-Winged Wolf King. This was simply bad news for the Feng people. It was fine now, but if Feng Ho found out in the future, the princess would definitely be in trouble. Crack. Suddenly. Following a loud explosion, cracks began to appear on the other ruler divine weapon. Come on. The mad scientist roared excitedly. Hee hee. How lively. But before he finished speaking, a faint laughter sounded. Qin Feiyang, the mad scientist, and the blood ancestor raised their eyebrows. This was Long Chen's laughter. At the same time, the 6 sovereign divine weapons were overjoyed, and they shouted, "Deity child, save us." The sovereign divine weapons actually had a time when they asked for help. If this was seen by the people of the Sky Cloud realm, they would definitely be shocked. But the reality was so cruel. At this point, the sovereign divine weapons weren't invincible. Qin Feiyang and Madman raised their heads and looked towards the source of the voice. They saw a white-clothed young man walking over with a faint smile on his face. If it wasn't Long Chen, who else could it be? I just sensed the fluctuations of a fierce battle here. I was wondering who it was, but it turns out to be Brother Qin and Brother Mo. Long Chen smiled faintly. A surge of divine might silently gushed out of his body, blocking the surging waves of battle outside of his body. Qin Feiyang and the mad scientist looked at each other and couldn't help but frown. Then, the madman looked at Long Chen and laughed sinisterly. "Are you planning on interfering in the matter between us and the dragon race? I'm a divine dragon, so the dragons are naturally not outsiders to me. Why don't the two of you let them go this time on account of your old friend?" Long Chen stopped in the air and looked at Qin Feiyang and the mad scientist with a smile. "Do you think that's possible?" The mad scientist sneered. Long Chen smiled faintly. "Then I'll owe you a favor, okay?" "A favor?" The mad scientist was taken aback. Qin Feiyang looked at Long Chen and said, "If you really want us to let them go, it's not impossible." "Brother Qin, it's okay." Long Chen smiled. "Old Qin, what are you thinking?" The mad scientist looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. The blood ancestor couldn't help but frown. "I know what I'm doing," Qin Feiyang said secretly and looked at Long Chen. "4 conditions. First, the 4 heaven-defying divine weapons are in your father's hands. Ask him to return them to us. Second, Chang Shui. Chang Shui is important to me. I believe you know a little about it. It was snatched away by the small beast in the early years. I need you to help me get it back. Third, ask the small beast to remove the seal on my other 2 war souls. If you can keep your promise, I'll let go of the 6 sovereign divine weapons." Qin Feiyang said. This, Long Chen hesitated. The mad scientist was too enlightened. It turned out that Qin Feiyang wanted to take out such an important thing. The broken sword was the human emperor's divine weapon, and it was a sovereign divine weapon. Thousand Phoenix Mountain, Thieving Heaven Realm, Purple Gold Dragon Ball. Although they were only heaven-defying divine weapons, they had extraordinary meaning to Qin Feiyang. Because these were the heaven-defying divine weapons of Qin Batian and Lu Xingyang. Needless to say, Chang Shui. Just like the ancient castle, it appeared with Qin Feiyang's birth. It must have a lot to do with Qin Feiyang. Most importantly, although it came with him, it was given to him by Qin Feiyang's mother. To Qin Feiyang, Chang Shui was not only his friend and companion, but it was also a spiritual sustenance. As for the seal on the 9-leaf fire lotus and the crimson sword soul, they were undoubtedly more important. Back in the ancient realm, these 2 war souls were already on par with sovereign divine weapons. Even the ice dragon was wary of them. It was because these 2 war souls were too powerful that they broke the balance of the ancient realm that the small beast sealed them. Moreover, it did not seal them just once. It sealed them twice. The first time, Qin Feiyang broke the seal with the help of the dragon's heaven-defying divine weapons and other external forces. On the second level, the small beast strengthened the seal. Qin Feiyang tried many methods, but he could not break the seal. Hence, he guessed that the only person in the world who could break the seal was the small beast. Chapter 37-24. The small beast had targeted Qin Feiyang many times, so it was unlikely that it would take the initiative to lift the seal. Besides, even if they wanted to find it, Qin Feiyang and the others did not have the ability to do so. Because no one knew where the small beast was. But Long Chen was different. Long Chen was the son of Ice Dragon. He could contact Ice Dragon. And because of the father and son relationship, he had a higher chance of persuading Ice Dragon. And Ice Dragon could contact the small beast, so as long as Long Chen agreed, there would be a chance. These are my only 4 conditions. Qin Feiyang looked at Long Chen and said. Long Chen hesitated for a moment, then looked up at Qin Feiyang and said with a frown, "The broken sword is not a problem because these 4 divine artifacts are now in my mother's hands." In your mother's hands? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. But the seal of the small beast and Chang Shui, we are all friends. I don't want to say something irresponsible. I have no confidence at all. Long Chen's words were very direct and honest. Qin Feiyang could not help but frown. Long Chen said again, "But if you trust me, I can give it a try." Qin Feiyang looked at Long Chen, his eyes flickering. To tell the truth. The more he looked at Long Chen, the more he admired him. If it were someone else, even if they could not do it, they would definitely say no problem and just brush him off. But Long Chen did not. He would do whatever he wanted. Frank and honest. Okay. I trust you. If it were someone else, I would definitely make him take a blood oath, but I don't think it is necessary for you. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he looked at the blood ancestor and the castle and said, "Stop. Are you sure?" The blood ancestor turned to look at Qin Feiyang with displeasure written all over his face. Qin Feiyang said apologetically, "I know you're not happy, but these things are really too important to me. I hope you can understand." Fine. The blood ancestor shook his head and sighed before taking a step back. The ancient castle and the 9 sovereign divine weapons also retreated to Qin Feiyang's side. The dragon's 6 sovereign divine weapons also ran behind Long Chen and heaved a sigh of relief. "All of you, go to my Qi Si to recuperate." Long Chen smiled. "All right." The 6 sovereign divine weapons nodded and entered Long Chen's Qi Si. Long Chen looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, "You said there are 4 conditions. What is the last one?" Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, "For the 4th condition, you have to promise to do something for me." "What is it that can stump you?" Long Chen asked curiously. "It's a long story. When the time comes, I will tell you." "Of course. I definitely won't let you commit suicide, and I definitely won't let you do anything immoral or immoral." Qin Feiyang smiled. "I have never doubted that." Long Chen smiled faintly. "All right. Next, shall we travel together or meet at the exit of the Sky Bell Divine Treasury?" Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. Long Chen was stunned and looked at Qin Feiyang and the madman with a wry smile. "If I go with you too, will I still have a chance to obtain a fortune?" "Ah." Qin Feiyang and the madman were stunned. The madman rolled his eyes and said disdainfully, "As the son of the Ice Dragon, what fortune do you need? I guess it's to stimulate people like us who have no background, right?" "You have no background?" Long Chen was speechless. He cupped his hands and said, "Then let's meet at the exit." The blood ancestor frowned and said, "I think you should let the castle establish a mental contract with one of the dragon's sovereign weapons. This way, it will be easier to contact Long Chen. After all, the exit of the Sky Bell Divine Treasury is very far away from the lair of the Divine King of Primal Chaos." "Makes sense." Qin Feiyang nodded. What if Long Chen didn't go to the exit until the very last day? If they couldn't contact Long Chen, it would be useless even if they had an agreement in advance. "Wait." Seeing that Long Chen was about to leave, Qin Feiyang hurriedly said. Long Chen stopped and looked suspiciously at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Let a sovereign weapon appear and establish a mental contract with the castle. This will make it easier for us to contact each other in the future." "You're quite thoughtful." Long Chen smiled and took out a sovereign weapon. Qin Feiyang's and the madman's pupils shrank. It was a long sword. It was about 1 meter long and 3 fingers wide. The left half of the sword was milky white and emitted a sacred aura. The right half was snow white and emitted a bone-chilling coldness. On the 2 sides of the sword hilt, there was an ice dragon and a saint dragon respectively. This sword was like a combination of the heaven dragon god's sword and the ice dragon saint's sword. And this sword wasn't one of the 6 sovereign weapons from before. It was a divine weapon they had never seen before. Obviously, this was Long Chen's own sovereign weapon. The son of the ice dragon is indeed different. He can get a sovereign weapon so easily. The madman laughed and said with a hint of mockery. Long Chen shook his head and smiled bitterly. Was there a need to be so sarcastic? Although he didn't want to rely on his father, he had no choice. He had to have something to protect himself. "Sorry to trouble you." Qin Feiyang looked at Gu Chao and smiled. Gu Chao flew over and quickly established a contract with the long sword. "Let me know if there's anything." Long Chen smiled and left with the long sword. Qin Feiyang looked at the long sword and Long Chen's back. His eyes flickered. Gu Chao flew to Qin Feiyang's side and said, "Feiyang, you can't be careless with that sword. Did you see anything?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. "No. However, that sword gives me a very dangerous feeling." Gu Chao said. "You also have this feeling?" The blood ancestor was surprised. "Don't tell me you have it too." Gu Chao was stunned and asked. "Yes." The blood ancestor nodded and looked at the ice phoenix sword and the other 8 sovereign weapons. "You should be no exception, right?" "Yes. Although the sovereign weapon's aura isn't strong, the sense of danger it gives me is not inferior to the Black Flame Demon King and the Demon Castle." Ice Phoenix Sword said. Qin Feiyang and Madman looked at each other. Stormy waves were set off in their hearts. Could it be that the long sword had surpassed a low-level sovereign weapon? If it was before, they wouldn't have thought so much. After all, they didn't know that sovereign weapons had different levels. But it was different now. There were a total of 6 grades of sovereign weapons. And Long Chen was Ice Dragon's son. Now that Long Chen was in the Sky Cloud realm and the situation there was so complicated, it was very likely that Ice Dragon would give Long Chen a high-level sovereign weapon. Because this was enough to protect himself in the Sky Cloud realm. As for high-level sovereign weapons, with Ice Dragon's strength and status, it shouldn't be difficult to find one. It seems that your approach this time is wise. It might not be a good thing for us to have a bad relationship with him. The blood ancestor took a deep breath and looked at Qin Feiyang with a smile. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, "After all, he is Ice Dragon's son. How could he not have some life-saving trump cards? In short, we must be fully focused when facing this man. That's not my concern. Even if he is Ice Dragon's son, as long as there is a chance, I will not let him go. After all, there is a saying that the son must pay the father's debts." The blood ancestor coldly snorted. He was still holding a grudge against Ice Dragon for sealing him back then. "Don't worry. No matter what happens now, we will definitely fight with him in the future." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. The sovereign weapons entered his sea of qi. Then, he glanced down and said with a smile, "The dragons have been annihilated. Next, we will go straight to the meeting point of the phone people." The 10 patriarchs and the 10 reclusive old antiques had all fallen. Although they didn't really die, there was no doubt that there would be one less big trouble in the Sky Bell Divine Treasury in the future. What about her? Madman glanced at Princess Huifeng not far away. We have to bring this woman with us. After all, we have to rely on her to make use of the phone people. Qin Feiyang transmitted. How infuriating. If it wasn't for the white-eyed wolf, I would have crippled her. Madman snorted. He had worked so hard to get the rights to control the profound ice divine hammer and the 4 sovereign weapons, and this was how she repaid them. You are a man, so you should be more open-minded. Let's talk about it later. She does have her difficulties. Let's put ourselves in her shoes. If we were her, we would also be caught in a dilemma. Anyway, I don't have any other requests now. I just hope that she can cooperate with us to save Li Feng and Lu Ding. Qin Feiyang thought. Madman was stunned and asked suspiciously, don't you have any thoughts about the other Feng people and the other sovereign weapons? No. I have also thought it through. Although she didn't help us, from her standpoint, not helping either side is actually the greatest help she can give us. Don't forget, she is only the princess of the Fire Phoenix clan. Above her, there are the patriarchs, elders, reclusive antiques, and even the terrifying existence Feng Ho. She has no choice. Qin Feiyang sighed. Madman frowned and pondered for a while. It was indeed so. Qin Feiyang sighed, I can even predict that when she leaves the Sky Bell Divine Treasure and returns to the Phoenix Nest, she might face a lot of trouble. You mean, Feng Ho will punish her? Madman raised his eyebrows. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Madman raised his head and looked at Princess Wufeng. Suddenly, he felt some sympathy for this woman. There were many things that she didn't want to do, but she had to do it because of the restrictions. Now it seemed that being born in such a clan wasn't necessarily a good thing. The most simple point was, there was no freedom, no right to choose. Looking at it this way, he and Qin Feiyang were much happier. Although they had gone through a lot of hardships along the way, at least they could do whatever they wanted and not be restricted by anyone. Qin Feiyang turned to look at the blood ancestor and asked, You're really not angry, right? What's the use of being angry? The blood ancestor glared at him. Ha, Qin Feiyang smiled awkwardly. But I can understand your feelings. I don't know much about Chang Shui or seals, but the human emperor's sword is your ancestor's sovereign divine weapon. You should think of a way to take it back. The blood ancestor nodded and smiled. Thank you for your understanding. Qin Feiyang smiled gratefully. Then let's go. The 3 of them stepped forward and walked towards Princess Wufeng. Seeing Qin Feiyang and the other 2 walking over, Princess Wufeng felt inexplicably nervous. She wondered if he would blame her for this. Would he blame her in his heart? Chapter 37-25. Madman walked in front of Princess Wufeng. Seeing her terrified expression, he was both angry and amused. He said helplessly, What are you waiting for? Lead the way. Ah. Princess Wufeng looked at Madman with a surprised expression. He didn't even say a word of reproach. This didn't match Madman's character. Do you have to let me scold you a few times before you feel better? Madman was speechless. No need, no need. Princess Wufeng came back to her senses and waved her hand. Who would ask for a scolding? It seems that they also understand your difficulties. Fire Phoenix Divine Jade smiled. Those who know how to think from another perspective, not to mention other things, their character is definitely impeccable. Fire Phoenix Sword thought. N. Princess Wufeng nodded. In fact, she was on good terms with Qin Feiyang and Madman. On one hand, it was because of the white-eyed wolf. On the other hand, it was because she valued their character. Although in the eyes of the enemy, they were ruthless and arrogant, in the eyes of friends, they were loyal and righteous. You might not notice it at first, but if you were willing to get along with them, you would slowly discover a unique charm in them. This was the charm of a person's personality. Longhu Mountain Range. This mountain range was very large, and one couldn't see the end. In the center of the mountain range, there were two particularly tall peaks. One was shaped like a giant dragon, and the other was shaped like a giant tiger. The two peaks stood opposite each other, forming a scene of dragons and tigers fighting. This was the meeting point of the Feng people. Longhu Mountain Range was about 2 years' journey from the swamp. Qin Feiyang's group of 4 arrived at Longhu Mountain Range without any danger. Along the way, they coincidentally snatched a law miniature from a purple gold skeleton. But it wasn't the strongest law, it was the law of thunder. Qin Feiyang naturally didn't need the law of thunder, so he directly gave it to Madman. Madman had already grasped 2 law miniatures. They were the law of slaughter and the law of thunder. Princess Huifeng, on the other hand, only possessed a miniature version of the law of fire. As for Qin Feiyang, he had the laws of life and death, the laws of lightning, and the laws of war. Actually, these law miniatures were already enough for them to cultivate. This was because even if one obtained the epitome of a law, it would still take a very long time to comprehend the ultimate profundity. However, since he came to the Sky Bell Divine Treasury, this treasure land, he naturally couldn't miss out on the good fortune that could be encountered anywhere. And the significance of the Heavenly Bell Divine Treasure was to search for opportunities. It seems unrealistic for you to cultivate here. After all, you only have 1,000 years. Therefore, whether it was the people from the various forbidden zones or Qin Feiyang and company, they all planned to first find enough nomological miniatures and then slowly cultivate after leaving the Heaven Bell Divine Treasure. 1,000 years was a very short period of time for people at their level. In the blink of an eye, it might have already passed. As such, every day was precious. The blood ancestor slowed down and looked at the mountains in front of him. After confirming for a moment, he said, "Yes, the Longhu Mountain Range is right ahead. It has been almost 18 years since I entered the Sky Bell Divine Treasure. I wonder if the Patriarch is still waiting for me here." Princess Huifeng whispered. "It's only been a dozen years. If we are unlucky and randomly teleported to a further place, let alone a dozen years, I'm afraid we won't be able to meet here even if it takes 50 or 60 years. So, even if your clansmen take action, they will definitely leave 1 or 2 people in the Longhu Mountain Range to wait for everyone." The blood ancestor said. "I hope so." Princess Huifeng nodded and flew towards the Longhu Mountain Range. At the same time, below, at the edge of the mountain range, there was a small valley. An old man in a fiery red robe was sitting cross-legged. One could see that his hair was disheveled, his clothes were tattered, and there were many wounds on his body. His tattered robe was stained with blood. At this moment, he was sitting in the valley, seemingly recuperating. Just as Qin Feiyang's group entered the sky above the mountain range, the old man immediately opened his eyes and looked up at Qin Feiyang's group. "Your Highness." The old man's eyes immediately locked onto Princess Huifeng, and his blood-stained face was full of joy. "Daifuku?" Hearing the old man's voice, Princess Huifeng was stunned and hurriedly stopped. She lowered her head and looked at the valley. When she saw the old man in the valley, she was immediately overjoyed. That's right. This old man was Princess Huifeng's guardian, Daifuku. Daifuku came back to his senses and hurriedly flew into the air and landed in front of Princess Huifeng. He looked up and down at the Princess Huifeng and said happily, "Your Highness, it's good that you're fine. I've made you worry." Princess Huifeng smiled apologetically. "It's my duty." Daifuku waved his hand and looked at Qin Feiyang in frenzy. He cupped his hands and smiled. "It must be the 2 of you who have taken care of Her Highness." "Thank you. It's fine." Qin Feiyang waved his hand. "This is," Daifuku looked at the blood ancestor with a trace of suspicion in his eyes. "You don't even know me?" The blood ancestor was stunned. It seemed that he was just a small figure in the Feng people. "Ancestor?" Daifuku muttered. Someone who could call himself an ancestor must have a powerful background, but why had he never seen him before? Princess Huifeng said, Daifuku, let me introduce you. This is one of the 3 famous leaders of the human race, senior blood ancestor. Blood ancestor? Daifuku was stunned. Suddenly, his eyes trembled and he hurriedly bowed. Greetings, sir. As a member of the Feng people, even if he hadn't seen him with his own eyes, he often heard the name of the blood ancestor. He never expected that the old man in blood-red clothes in front of him was actually the old devil who terrified people back then, the blood ancestor. Rise. The blood ancestor waved his hand. Daifuku smiled at the blood ancestor respectfully, then looked at Princess Huifeng and whispered, Your Highness, let's talk in private. Princess Huifeng was slightly stunned and said suspiciously, We're not outsiders. If you have anything to say, just say it. Daifuku saw that Qin Feiyang and the other 2 were also looking at him suspiciously, so he couldn't help but smile apologetically. He looked at Princess Huifeng and said secretly, Your Highness, it won't take long. Okay. Princess Huifeng nodded helplessly and looked at Qin Feiyang and the other 2. She smiled apologetically and said, Sorry, please wait for us for a while. Go ahead. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Since he didn't want them to listen, he wouldn't force them. Daifuku took Princess Huifeng and flew over a giant peak deep in the mountains. Can't you transmit your voice? Is there a need to go so far? The mad scientist pouted. Since you don't want us to know, then it's naturally the Feng people's secret. The farther we are, the safer we will feel. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and landed on a mountain next to the valley below. He looked around curiously and chatted with the mad scientist and the blood ancestor. Above the giant peak, Daifuku stopped and turned to Princess Huifeng. He frowned and said, Princess, why are you with the blood ancestor? Do you know how dangerous this is? No. We've been getting along well along the way. Princess Huifeng shook her head. How is that possible? He's the blood ancestor. Tell me honestly, did he bully you? Daifuku asked. He really didn't. Besides, with Qin Feiyang and the mad scientist, he can't bully me. Princess Huifeng was helpless. Are you sure? Daifuku still didn't dare to believe it. Because back then, the blood ancestor and the Feng people were opponents. I'm sure. Princess Huifeng nodded. That's good. Daifuku heaved a sigh of relief. Don't tell me you called me over to talk about this. Princess Huifeng was suspicious. Of course not. I want to say that it's best to let them leave now. Because you also know that we have already formed an alliance with the dragons and Kirins. Also, Lord Feng Ho personally instructed us to get rid of Qin Feiyang if there's a chance. If the clansmen see that not only are you with them, but you also brought them to the rendezvous point, they will definitely be angry. Daifuku said worriedly. No. They have helped me too much along the way. How can I burn the bridge after crossing it? Besides, I have an agreement with them. Princess Huifeng shook her head. What agreement? Daifuku was surprised. Princess Huifeng hesitated and shook her head. I can't reveal it for the time being. You can't even tell me? Daifuku frowned. I can't. In short, if it weren't for Qin Feiyang and the others, I would have died in the hands of Qi Xiong and the others. No matter what, I can't repay kindness with enmity. Princess Huifeng said. What? Qi Xiong. Daifuku was shocked. That's right. Not long after entering the Sky Bell Divine Treasury, I met Qi Yefeng and the Silver Dragons. Princess Huifeng briefly explained how Qi Xiong and Qi Yefeng plotted against her and the Silver Dragons. Bastards! We clearly agreed to form an alliance, but they actually plotted against us behind our backs. Dafu was furious when he heard this. Don't you understand them? A bunch of selfish people. The so-called alliance can't withstand the test of benefits. That's why I chose to go with Qin Feiyang and the others. After all, no matter what, Qin Feiyang and the others won't plot against me behind my back. Princess Huafeng said disdainfully. Daifuku frowned and said, although Qi Xiong and the others are indeed hateful, how are you going to explain when they meet up with our clansmen? How am I going to explain? Just tell them the truth. Princess Huafeng shrugged. I'm afraid that even if I tell them the truth, they won't buy it. Although Qin Feiyang has a sovereign divine weapon and the blood ancestor, almost all of our clansmen have arrived. If they really fight, Qin Feiyang and the others will be doomed. Daifuku said worriedly. So you're thinking about their safety? Princess Huafeng suddenly understood. It seemed that Daifuku also had a good impression of Qin Feiyang and the mad scientist. Then she shook her head and said with a wry smile, Daifuku, you've been with Qin Feiyang and the mad scientist for so long. Is that all you know about them? Huh? Daifuku looked at Princess Huafeng. What did she mean? Their current strength has reached an extremely terrifying level. Not to mention our Phoenix clan that has already suffered heavy losses, even if we were at our peak, they wouldn't be afraid. Princess Huafeng shook her head. Chapter 37-26. So strong. Daifuku was shocked. One had to know that this time, the Feng people had entered the Sky Bell Divine Treasure with 10 reclusive old antiques and 10 sovereign divine weapons. In addition, there were 12 Patriarch-level super experts. Such a force was not enough to deter Qin Feiyang. Wait a minute. What was the loss of soldiers? You said that almost all of our clansmen have rushed here. Is that true? Princess Huafeng asked with a smile. Daifuku said, other than Bing Running, the 5 sovereign divine weapons of the Ice Phoenix clan and a few super experts of the Ice Phoenix clan have indeed rushed here. But you don't know that Bing Running and a few super experts of the Ice Phoenix clan have died in the hands of Qin Feiyang. Princess Huafeng said. What? Daifuku was shocked and asked, does that mean that the Ice Phoenix sword, a sovereign divine weapon, has fallen into his hands? Princess Huafeng said, the Ice Phoenix sword has indeed fallen into Qin Feiyang's hands and has submitted to Qin Feiyang. However, the other 4 sovereign divine weapons are with me. With you? Daifuku was surprised. Yes. Originally, Qin Feiyang did want to subdue them, but in the end, he did not do so for my sake. Not only did he not do so, but he also made the 4 sovereign divine weapons swear a blood oath to serve me as their master. Moreover, Qin Feiyang also gave me a miniature of the Law of Fire. Princess Huafeng said. This, Daifuku was dumbfounded. Swear a blood oath to serve Her Highness as their master. Didn't that mean that the Ice Phoenix clan did not even have a single sovereign divine weapon? What was more shocking was that there was a miniature of the Law of Fire. Qin Feiyang was really generous. Anyone who knew about the law's miniature form would know its value. It could definitely be called a priceless treasure. The matter of the Ice Phoenix sword submitting is already destined, so it's useless to say anything now. Rather than wasting time looking for Qin Feiyang, I might as well make good use of this opportunity and find a few more sovereign divine weapons in the Sky Bell Divine Treasury. Princess Huafeng said. That makes sense. Daifuku nodded, but said worriedly, however, if the clansmen were to know that the Ice Phoenix sword had fallen into the hands of Qin Feiyang and the others, then even if we were to step forward to persuade them, it would be useless. It's all right. Qin Feiyang will have the means to suppress them. But don't worry, Qin Feiyang promised me that he wouldn't harm their lives. Princess Huafeng said. That's good. Daifuku heaved a sigh of relief. When he first heard that Qin Feiyang would suppress the people of the Feng people, he was really shocked. Wait. Suddenly. Princess Huafeng sized up Daifuku from head to toe, and asked suspiciously, why are you covered in injuries? This, a trace of anger immediately appeared on Daifuku's face, but he immediately concealed it and laughed. "It's nothing big, it's just that a few days ago, I accidentally bumped into a few skeletons and was injured by them." "Skeleton?" Princess Huifeng was startled, and asked doubtfully, "What skeleton?" "It's just a few human-shaped skeletons." Daifuku laughed. "So it's like that." Princess Huifeng nodded in realization. "It's all a small problem." Daifuku laughed. Princess Huifeng rolled her eyes at him, turned around to look at the void behind her, and was slightly startled. Where were Qin Feiyang and the other two? So they were there. Soon. She saw Qin Feiyang and the other two at the top of the mountain below. No. Just as she was about to call out to Qin Feiyang and the other two, she frowned slightly and turned to look at the injuries on Daifuku's body. "What is it?" Daifuku's heart was drumming, as if he was very guilty. "Didn't I let the divine phoenix spear follow you? How could a few mere skeletons hurt you? Also, why haven't you recovered from the injuries you received a few days ago? Furthermore, your hair is disheveled and your clothes are tattered. It's as if you have just finished a great battle. Daifuku, you're not telling me the truth, right? The injuries on your body were clearly caused not long ago." Princess Huifeng raised her eyebrows. Daifuku's gaze was somewhat evasive, and shook his head. "Your Highness, it's really nothing." The more Princess Huifeng looked at him, the more she felt that something was wrong, and said angrily, "What exactly is going on? Tell me." "Your Highness, I know that your Highness is concerned about me, but it's really just a small matter, it doesn't matter much." Daifuku stammered for a moment and smiled. "Small matter?" Princess Huifeng looked at the flustered Daifuku and snorted, "I think this matter is not simple, are you unwilling to tell me?" Daifuku stammered. "Old thing, didn't we ask you to patrol around the mountain range? You're actually hiding here and slacking off." At this moment, a stern voice sounded from the depths of the mountain range. Daifuku's face changed. Princess Huifeng's eyebrows also raised. On the mountain top beside the valley, Qin Feiyang and the other two who were chatting could not help but be stunned when they heard the shout. They then looked up suspiciously. Why did the atmosphere seem a little strange? As the voice fell, two figures rushed out from the depths of the mountain range. They were two middle-aged men. One was thin, and the other was fat. They had a head of white crystal-like hair, and there was a bone-piercing cold current around them. They looked domineering. Princess Huifeng. When they saw Princess Huifeng standing next to Daifuku, the two men were slightly stunned and quickly put away their domineering attitude. When did you come? We were worried sick all these years, afraid that something would happen to you. The two men came up to her and put on a kind and respectful attitude. Greets the two uncles. Princess Huifeng bowed. We're family, there's no need to be so polite. How is it? How was the journey? The two men asked with concern. It's fine. Princess Huifeng nodded. It seems that we were worried for nothing. The two men chuckled. Princess Huifeng glanced at Daifuku next to her without batting an eyelid. She found that when Daifuku looked at the two men, there was a trace of anger in his eyes. Could it be that these two men bullied Daifuku? Princess Huifeng asked suspiciously, Uncles, just now you said that you let Daifuku patrol. What patrol? It's like this. We were worried that skeletons or people from other forces would break into the Longhu mountain range, so we let Daifuku walk around more when he has nothing to do. The two men smiled and seemed to unintentionally give Daifuku a threatening look. Is that so? Princess Huifeng looked at Daifuku. Daifuku looked at the two men and finally looked at Princess Huifeng. He nodded and said, yes. The two of them immediately smiled from ear to ear. Princess Huifeng raised her eyebrows and said, then tell me, how did you get this body? A woman's intuition was very accurate. She felt that Daifuku's injury must be related to these two men. Because the two men's attitude towards Daifuku was too bad before. It was only when they looked at her that their attitude changed. It's really nothing. Daifuku waved his hand. Princess Huifeng frowned. She wanted to help Daifuku vent his anger, but Daifuku was unwilling to tell the truth, so she couldn't do anything. Suddenly, she thought of Qin Feiyang. Couldn't Qin Feiyang read other people's memories? If it was someone else, she wouldn't get to the bottom of it. But Daifuku was different. Daifuku and Xiao Fu, the two brothers, had been protecting her since she was born. To her, the two of them were not her guardians, nor were they her followers. They were her closest family. Her family had been wronged, so of course she wouldn't let it go. It better not be you. Princess Huifeng looked at the two men and said, Daifuku, if you don't tell the truth, I'll let Qin Feiyang read your memory. What? Daifuku's eyes trembled. If he read his memory, wouldn't he be unable to hide anything? Princess Huifeng said secretly, it's not too late to tell me now. Daifuku looked at the two men opposite him, then looked at Princess Huifeng and sighed. Your Highness, I'll tell you, but please don't hold them accountable. The two men heard this and couldn't help but be stunned. What did that mean? Could it be? The two men immediately looked at Daifuku, and the threat in their eyes became more intense. Don't look at me with such threatening eyes. I don't want to tell you either. Because I don't want to destroy the unity of the Feng people because of these things. But you've gone too far. Now you're threatening me. Daifuku glared at the two men. What nonsense are you talking about? The two men said angrily. Princess Huifeng's eyes flashed with a cold light. It really had something to do with these two men. The two men noticed that Princess Huifeng's eyes were not right, and their hearts couldn't help but tremble. They quickly smiled and said, don't listen to his nonsense. He's definitely trying to sow discord. Sow discord? Princess Huifeng clenched her hands and looked at the two men gloomily. Anyone can sow discord except for Daifuku. Besides, he hasn't said it yet. How do you know he's trying to sow discord? Are you guys guilty? The two men's faces were extremely ugly. As the super experts of the Feng people and Princess Huifeng's elders, they dared to talk to them like that in public. Did they have any respect for their elders? Daifuku, speak. Don't leave out a single word. Princess Huifeng said in a deep voice. Here's what happened. Because of the grudge between us and Bing Running, the people of the Ice Phoenix clan don't like me since I came to the Longhu mountain range. They'll make trouble for me whenever they have the chance. Not long ago, they came to make trouble for me again, and they're even worse than before. They asked me to keep an eye on you in the future and stop going against the Ice Phoenix clan. Otherwise, don't blame them for not caring about their clan. They even said that you're a traitor and colluded with Qin Feiyang. Maybe you've even received some benefits from Qin Feiyang. What's more, they even said that your highness might have betrayed the Feng people and become Qin Feiyang's spy. Of course I was angry when I heard that. You can humiliate me, but you can't slander your highness. So I argued with them. When they saw that I dared to talk back to them, they hurt me. Daifuku said angrily. They only hurt you. You were clearly tortured. Princess Huifeng said angrily. Chapter 37-27. When the two heard this, they hurriedly looked at Princess Huifeng and said, don't listen to his nonsense, shut up. Princess Huifeng yelled angrily. The two's expressions froze. Daifuku has never lied, let alone me. But this time, he would rather swallow this grievance than tell me the truth. Do you know why? He's not stupid, and he's not afraid of you. He just doesn't want to destroy the unity of the Feng people. But what about your Ice Phoenix clan? It was Bing Running at first. If Qin Feiyang hadn't saved me, I would have died in Bing Running's hands. Alright, for the sake of the big picture, my father and I didn't pursue this matter. Even when I had the chance to kill Bing running on White Crane Island, I didn't do it. Then, it was Bing Changtian. As the clan leader of the Ice Phoenix clan, he actually came to kill a junior like me. To think that I usually call him uncle. Is this how he treats me? As the clan leader, is this all you've got? Now, it's the two of you who are making things difficult and humiliating the people around me. Don't you know that Daifuku is my family? Do you really think that the Fire Phoenix clan is easy to bully? Princess Huifeng glared at the two with a hint of killing intent in her eyes. The anger and resentment that had been accumulating in her heart finally exploded completely. Because she had tolerated the Ice Phoenix clan time and time again. She thought that her tolerance would more or less influence the Ice Phoenix clan, and they would be more restrained in the future. But she didn't expect that they would take a mile after taking an inch. The two of them looked at the angry Fire Phoenix eldest princess, and a trace of panic crept into their eyes. Princess Huifeng glanced at the two, then looked at Daifuku and asked, "What about the Divine Phoenix Spear? Why didn't it help you?" "It's not the Divine Phoenix Spear's fault. Because I've already handed over the Divine Phoenix Spear after coming here," Daifuku said. "Hand over the Divine Phoenix Spear?" Princess Huifeng was slightly stunned. She said in a low voice, "Don't lie to me. Did you hand it over on your own accord, or did they snatch it away?" "I'm not lying to you about this. To tell you the truth, Your Highness, we found 2 ruler-level divine weapons not long after we arrived at the Longhu mountain range. This is a good opportunity. Thus, the clan elders and ancestors asked me to hand the Divine Phoenix Spear to them so that they could subdue the 2 ruler divine armaments. However, things didn't go as smoothly as we thought. I don't know where the other party found another sovereign divine weapon, but it's a total of 3 sovereign divine weapons. Right now, we only have the Divine Phoenix Spear, the Fire Phoenix Saber, and the Fire Phoenix Divine Axe. That's why we've been dragging it out until now." Daifuku sighed. 3 sovereign weapons. Princess Huifeng was shocked. She asked, "If that's the case, then the clan heads, elders and ancestors are subduing the 3 sovereign divine weapons right now?" "That's right. Right now, only the 2 of us are guarding the Longhu mountain range." Daifuku nodded. "I see." Princess Huifeng nodded in realization. She looked at the 2 members of the Ice Phoenix clan and said coldly, "I asked you to guard this place to wait for the rest of us who haven't arrived yet. I didn't ask you to take advantage of the situation to bully Daifuku. Don't be too presumptuous. No matter what, we're still elders." Seeing that Princess Huifeng wasn't going to give up so easily, the 2 of them used their status as elders to intimidate Princess Huifeng. However, they didn't know. The current Fire Phoenix eldest princess was most disgusted with the use of the word elder to pressure her. "You know that you're my elders. But what you're doing, do you have the demeanor of an elder? I'm telling you now. From now on, the Fire Phoenix clan won't tolerate it anymore. If anyone dares to bully me, I'll pay them back double." As soon as she finished speaking, Princess Huifeng exuded a monstrous murderous aura. "Are you going to offend your superiors? Be careful not to be punished by the heavens." The 2 of them immediately shouted angrily, panicking to the extreme. They weren't afraid of Princess Huifeng, but of Princess Huifeng's sovereign divine weapons. Because they knew that Princess Huifeng had 2 sovereign divine weapons by herself. "Princess! No!" Daifuku also hurriedly stopped Princess Huifeng. He really didn't want to see the scene of the Feng people fighting among themselves. "Daifuku. Since I was young, you, Xiao Fu, and father have always taught me to look at the big picture in everything. I'll listen to you. No matter what happened in the past, I've always tolerated it. But now I realize that if we only know how to tolerate it, they'll be even more arrogant. They'll even ruthlessly throw our tolerance to the ground and trample on it wantonly. So, I don't want to tolerate it anymore, and I don't want to tolerate it anymore." Princess Huifeng shook her head, her eyes filled with disappointment towards the Ice Phoenix clan. Crazy, crazy. No wonder you can be so close to Qin Feiyang and the others. It turns out that you're all jackals of the same tribe. The two Ice Phoenix clan members roared, turned around, and began to flee. Fuck. Who are you scolding? When Madman heard this, his eyes flashed with killing intent. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but frown. The people of the Ice Phoenix clan really like to court death. Jackals of the same tribe? If I could choose, I'd rather choose to be with them than with selfish and stupid trash like you. Fire Phoenix Sword, kill them. Princess Huifeng shouted. Accompanied by a loud clang, the Fire Phoenix Sword rushed out, and a terrifying sharpness suddenly rushed towards the two. Your Highness, Daifuku called out anxiously. But Princess Huifeng turned a deaf ear to him, and a murderous look appeared in her eyes. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, after being together for so long, this is the first time I've seen her show such strong murderous intent. From this, it can be seen that Daifuku and his brother are very important to her. After Madman said that, he laughed and said, but you don't say, she really does look like a princess now. She does have a deterrent power. Qin Feiyang nodded. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly turned around and looked to the left. His pupils immediately shrank. Madman and the Blood Ancestor also looked up and frowned. He saw a group of people flying over in a grandiose manner. They seemed to be the elders and reclusive antiques of the Foam people. Looks like, there's going to be a good show. Madman chuckled. The three of them had already concealed their auras, and now that the Fire Phoenix Sword had appeared, they became the focus of the scene, so no one from the Foam people noticed them. Woo-her. Fire Phoenix Sword. There were a total of 17 people in that group. They all had injuries of varying degrees on their bodies. When the 17 people saw Princess Huifeng and the Fire Phoenix Sword, they were slightly stunned. But before they could rejoice, they saw the Fire Phoenix Sword charging toward the two people from the Ice Phoenix clan. Their expressions suddenly changed. What are you doing? One of the red-haired elders shouted. Old man. Daifuku was shocked. He hurriedly looked at Princess Huifeng and shouted, Your Highness, your grandfather is back. Stop. It doesn't matter who comes. Princess Huifeng said coldly. Clang. The Fire Phoenix Sword charged forward. The two people from the Ice Phoenix clan screamed on the spot, and their blood splattered across the sky. Seeing this scene, the 17 people were anxious and angry. What was this? How could they attack their elders? Whoosh! In a few seconds, the 17 people were all facing Princess Huifeng. The red-haired elder looked at the Fire Phoenix Sword and then at Princess Huifeng. He frowned and said, what are you doing? Princess Huifeng took a deep breath and bowed to the red-haired elder. Pays her respects to Grandpa. Grandpa? Qin Feiyang and the madman looked at each other. She's actually this old thing's granddaughter. The Blood Ancestor was also surprised. You know him? Qin Feiyang and the madman looked at the Blood Ancestor suspiciously. Yes. He was the previous patriarch of the Fire Phoenix clan. What was his name again? Right, Huadahong. Back then, in my eyes, he was just a small fry. I didn't even bother to look at him. I didn't expect that after all these years, not only did my strength improve so much, even my granddaughter has grown up. The Blood Ancestor sighed. Huadahong, Qin Feiyang and the madman looked at the red-haired old man. This should be one of the reclusive old antiques of the Foam people. Huadahong looked at Princess Huifeng and said angrily, Answer Grandpa's question. Why did you kill them? At the same time, the Ice Phoenix clan had 5 reclusive old antiques and 2 elders. They all stared at Princess Huifeng angrily. The Ice Phoenix and the Fire Phoenix were actually very easy to distinguish. The people of the Fire Phoenix clan basically all had fiery red hair. The members of the Ice Phoenix clan, on the other hand, had long snow-white hair. Their auras were also easy to distinguish. As for the former, he could feel a burning aura from afar. The latter emitted a cold current. Princess Huifeng said, "Grandpa, you can't blame me. Look at Daifuku yourself." Everyone looked at Daifuku and couldn't help but frown when they saw the wounds all over his body. "This is what they tortured him for," Princess Huifeng said. "Nonsense. How could they torture Daifuku? Even if there was such a thing, Daifuku must have done something wrong." The 7 people of the Ice Phoenix clan said angrily. "Daifuku must have done something wrong. What makes you think that it must be Daifuku's fault?" Princess Huifeng was angry again. They hadn't even asked clearly, but they were already so sure that Daifuku had done something wrong. How could they be so self-righteous? Otherwise, why would they injure Daifuku? They can't be looking for trouble for no reason. The 7 people of the Ice Phoenix clan said angrily. "Do you still need to ask? Don't you know what the Ice Phoenix clan is like?" Princess Huifeng sneered. "Impudent. Hua Dahong, do you see that? This is the good granddaughter you taught. She even dares to talk back to us elders." The 7 people looked at Hua Dahong and said angrily. Hua Dahong frowned. "Elder? Now, other than the elders of the Fire Phoenix clan, no one is qualified to be my elder, including the Ice Phoenix clan. Fire Phoenix sword, kill all 7 of these old things for me." Princess Huifeng sneered and shouted. She was too lazy to explain to these people and waste her time. Chapter 37-28. What? The 7 members of the Ice Phoenix clan couldn't help but tremble upon hearing this. Even Hua Dahong and the other members of the Fire Phoenix clan were shocked, not to mention them. In their impression, Princess Huifeng had always been an obedient and sensible person who respected the old and loved the young. They didn't expect her to have such a ruthless side. As her closest family and clansmen, this was the first time they had seen the Fire Phoenix Great Princess fly into such a rage and make such a big fuss. Clang! The Fire Phoenix sword's godly aura shook everyone present. An elder of the Ice Phoenix clan suddenly trembled. He waved his hand and the Fire Phoenix blade appeared. "What? You want to use the Fire Phoenix clan's sovereign divine weapon against me?" Princess Huifeng sneered. Although the Fire Phoenix blade was the Fire Phoenix clan's sovereign divine weapon, it was still in the Sky Bell divine treasure. Having a sovereign divine weapon could prevent many accidents. For example, if they accidentally got separated during a battle, they would have a higher chance of survival with a sovereign divine weapon. In addition, the Ice Phoenix clan's sovereign divine weapon didn't come to the meeting point. Therefore, Hua Dahong had let the elder of the Ice Phoenix clan take care of the Fire Phoenix blade. This elder's status in the Feng people was similar to Hua Dahong's. "You dare to rebel? Do you still have us in your eyes?" The elder of the Ice Phoenix clan said angrily. "I'm rebelling. Bing Xingyuan, everyone has the right to criticize me, except you." Princess Huifeng sneered and looked at the Fire Phoenix blade. "Fire Phoenix blade, come back." Clang! The Fire Phoenix blade, the only weapon the Ice Phoenix clan relied on, flew to Princess Huifeng's side. This made the 7 members of the Ice Phoenix clan extremely angry. One of the elders roared, "If the Ice Phoenix clan's sovereign divine weapon was here, you wouldn't have the right to be so presumptuous." "Is that so?" Princess Huifeng sneered. With a thought, the profound ice divine hammer and the other 4 sovereign divine weapons appeared. Hua Dahong and the others were shocked. The 4 sovereign divine weapons were in Wu Er's hands. Meanwhile, Bing Xingyuan and the others were also stunned. Then, they were overjoyed. Wasn't this an opportunity right in front of them? Bing Xingyuan came back to his senses and immediately yelled at the profound ice divine hammer and the four ruler divine weapons, "Take down this disrespectful junior." However, the four sovereign divine weapons remained motionless, as if they hadn't heard anything. What happened? Everyone was bewildered. How is it? With the profound ice divine hammer and the others around, I can still be impudent. Princess Huafeng sneered. What are you doing? Didn't you hear me? I order you to take her down immediately. Bing Xingyuan looked at the four ruler divine weapons and roared furiously. What right do you have to command a sovereign weapon? Is it because you are stronger than them? Or did you create them? How powerful are sovereign divine armaments? Yet, you people are acting as if it's only natural for them to work for you. What makes you think you're qualified to do that? Shouldn't we respect them? Princess Huafeng said angrily. The group of elders and reclusive antiques were rendered speechless. Indeed. Whether it was the Feng people or the dragons and Kirins, they all felt that the sovereign divine weapons should listen to their orders. But in reality, what had they done for the sovereign divine weapons? What was their strength in front of the sovereign divine weapons? The sovereign divine weapons had been helping them all along. But they had never felt the slightest bit of gratitude. They felt that it was only right. Speechless. Ashamed. You only know how to take and not give. This is how you behave. By the way, I'm sorry, but the profound ice divine hammer and the others are now my companions. Princess Huafeng sneered and looked at the four ruler divine weapons. I feel annoyed just looking at them. Help me get rid of them. Clang. Clang. The four ruler divine weapons immediately attacked and killed the 7 members of the Ice Phoenix clan. At the scene. Now, only the members of the Fire Phoenix clan were left. Seeing this scene, they couldn't calm down for a long time. After a long time, Hua Dahong came back to his senses and looked at the profound ice divine hammer and the four ruler divine weapons suspiciously. Then, he looked at Princess Huafeng and asked, Wu, what's going on with them? Grandfather, it's a long story. And we have to thank someone for this. Princess Huafeng smiled. Who? Hua Dahong was surprised. Daifuku heard this and couldn't help but feel nervous. They were about to talk about Qin Feiyang. How would everyone react? Princess Huafeng turned to look at the mountain. Hua Dahong and the others also looked suspiciously. When they saw Qin Feiyang and the other two on the mountain, their expressions changed drastically. Qin Feiyang. Madman Mo. It was actually them. At the same time, Qin Feiyang and the other two also stepped into the sky and walked toward the group of people. Hua Dahong quivered and looked at Princess Huafeng. Wu, don't tell me you brought them here. I brought them here. Princess Huafeng nodded. You, Hua Dahong's eyes suddenly had a trace of anger. Dahong, suddenly. Next to him, a reclusive old antique pulled Hua Dahong's sleeve. This person's eyes were staring at the blood ancestor, his eyes full of surprise. What are you doing? Hua Dahong was angry. Without even thinking, he directly shook off the reclusive old antique's hand. Quickly look, that reclusive old antique looked at the blood ancestor, his eyes gradually trembling. Noticing this abnormality, not only Hua Dahong, but the others also looked up again. Boom! Immediately, Hua Dahong and the other reclusive old antiques felt like a bolt from the blue, rumbling in their minds. Wearing blood-red clothes, full of murderous aura, this face, this figure. This, isn't this one of the 3 great leaders of the human race, the blood ancestor? What's going on? Didn't the blood ancestor die long ago? The 4 old antiques rubbed their eyes hard, thinking that they were seeing things. The other 6 elders were surprised. Who was this blood-red, clothed old man? How could he make the elders so surprised? Humph. Are you surprised that I'm not dead? The blood ancestor snorted coldly. It's really him. Hua Dahong's face suddenly changed, and he roared, prepare for battle. The three reclusive old antiques were also facing a great enemy. Who the hell is he? One of the elders couldn't help but ask. Blood ancestor. Hua Dahong said in a deep voice. What? He's the blood ancestor. The elders' eyes trembled as they looked at the blood ancestor walking towards them. Their bodies and minds trembled uncontrollably. This was a real demon king. An existence comparable to Feng Ho. How could they not be nervous when such a peerless demon king appeared? Grandpa. Don't be nervous. They're not enemies. Princess Huafeng saw that the situation was not good and hurriedly said. Are you stupid? The other party is the blood ancestor. How can he not be our enemy? Hua Dahong shouted angrily. This silly granddaughter must have been used by Qin Feiyang and the blood ancestor. Clang! Accompanied by a phoenix cry, a fiery red battle axe appeared, and a terrifying divine power swept in all directions. This was the fifth sovereign divine weapon of the Fire Phoenix clan, the Fire Phoenix Divine Axe. Hua Dahong grabbed the divine axe and shouted, fight! Clang! As Hua Dahong shouted, another reclusive old antique also waved his hand and summoned the divine phoenix spear. The remaining two old antiques and a few clan elders also emitted terrifying and monstrous power of law from their bodies. Qin Feiyang and the mad scientist raised their eyebrows slightly when they saw this scene. Although Feng Ho had ordered them to get rid of him if they had the chance, there was no need to make such a big fuss the moment they met. A group of ants in the past actually dares to draw their swords against this ancestor. Don't you know that this is an unforgivable act of foolishness? The blood ancestor laughed as his blood-red eyes flashed with a cold light. Senior blood ancestor, please calm down. Princess Huafeng was extremely anxious. Although she had expected this to happen, when it really happened, she still didn't know how to deal with it. Dahong, this is a good opportunity. Although Qin Feiyang is powerful and has the protection of a sovereign divine weapon, we now have 9 sovereign divine weapons. As for the blood ancestor, if his strength has recovered to its peak, then he won't be able to enter the Sky Bell divine treasure. Therefore, I dare say that his strength is not as strong as before. They are all powerful enemies in the future. If we don't get rid of them now, there will be endless trouble in the future. Besides, Feng Ho also has orders. We can't disobey Lord Feng Ho's orders. One of the reclusive old antiques said telepathically. Hearing this, Hua Dahong made a prompt decision and shouted, attack. Clang! The Fire Phoenix Divine Axe and the Divine Phoenix Spear, the 2 sovereign divine weapons, immediately attacked Qin Feiyang's group. Quickly help. After Hua Dahong said that, he led a few old antiques and a few clan elders and followed the 2 sovereign divine weapons to attack Qin Feiyang's group. Grandfather! Princess Huafeng shouted anxiously. As expected. Daifuku sighed. They really don't know what death is. It seems that we have no choice but to attack now. Madman's eyes flashed with killing intent. Clang! 8 sovereign divine weapons instantly charged out of Qin Feiyang's body. Why did he say that it was 8 sovereign divine weapons? Because the castle didn't appear. What? Ice Phoenix Sword. Golden Dragon Spear, White Dragon Sword, Black Dragon Mirror. What's going on? Aren't these the sovereign divine weapons of the Feng people and the dragons? Why are they with them? Moreover, there are 2 sovereign divine weapons that we have never seen before. The group of people's expressions changed. Princess Huafeng didn't make a move. How could the Divine Phoenix Spear and the Fire Phoenix Divine Axe block the 8 sovereign divine weapons, the Sword of the Grim Reaper? With a loud crack, the two sovereign divine weapons shattered on the spot and blasted into the ground in the distance like two meteors. They really don't know what death is. At the same time, the blood ancestor smiled sinisterly. The law of death surged out and activated instant time. He instantly landed in front of the two reclusive old antiques and reached out with both hands. This power of death, the group of people's expressions changed again. Chapter 37-29. The blood ancestor was like a demon god as he grabbed a reclusive old man with one hand. The terrifying power of death poured into their bodies like a tide. Ah, accompanied by a miserable cry, the two of them exploded in the void, and blood stained the sky. Stop it! Princess Huifeng roared. But how could the blood ancestor stop? The power of death, with him as the center, rolled in all directions. Several elders were drowned by the power of death and died on the spot. Then he grabbed Huidahong and another reclusive old man by the neck, and the two of them were hung in the void like little chicks. So strong. The two of them were ashen-faced. Was this the strength of the blood ancestor? It was not any weaker than before. Pay the price for your stupid actions. The blood ancestor laughed. The other reclusive old man was drowned by the power of death, and his body and soul were directly shattered in the void. His method was extremely bloody. Huidahong, back then, you were a little reptile who was scared to death when you saw me. Now, you actually dare to attack me. I really don't know where you borrowed the courage from. The blood ancestor looked at Huidahong again. Apart from Princess Huifeng and Daifuku, Huidahong was the only one left among the foam people. Like the dragons, it could be announced that they were all wiped out. Princess Huifeng saw this and bowed. Senior blood ancestor, he is my grandfather. Please be merciful. Originally, she wanted to use the sovereign divine weapon to deter him. But thinking of the blood ancestor's temper, if she used the sovereign divine weapon to deter him, it would probably be counterproductive. In short, the blood ancestor was a person who could be persuaded by reason but not by force. If you want to use force, he will be stronger, harder, and more terrifying than you. The blood ancestor glanced at Princess Huifeng, then looked at Huidahong and sneered. You should be glad that you have such a sensible granddaughter. Otherwise, even if the gods come down now, they won't be able to save you. After saying that, the blood ancestor let go of his hand. Thank you, senior blood ancestor. Princess Huifeng smiled gratefully, ran to Huidahong, and asked with concern, Grandfather, are you okay? I'm fine. Huidahong waved his hand and took a few deep breaths to calm the fear in his heart. He looked up at the blood ancestor, his eyes filled with dread. Whoosh! At this moment, the broken divine phoenix spear and fire phoenix divine axe also flew over. Looking at the 8 sovereign divine weapons in front of Qin Feiyang, they were also shocked. Unexpectedly, this young human actually already possessed such a terrifying foundation. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the sovereign weapons returned to his sea of energy. Looking at Huidahong, he smiled and said, Senior, would you mind listening to our conversation? Speak. Huidahong smiled bitterly. What else could he do? What else could he do? What made him feel the most helpless was that he didn't know what kind of magic potion Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo had fed his granddaughter, making her keep speaking up for them. We really didn't come to Longhu mountain range to become your enemy. Furthermore, we can be said to be completely devoted to this granddaughter of yours. Of course. We will also remember her kindness to us. So, no matter what happens in the future, at least for now, I really don't want us to fight to the death in the Sky Bell Divine Treasure. Qin Feiyang smiled and said. Huidahong turned his head and looked at Princess Huifeng. Princess Huifeng nodded. Huidahong sighed as he looked at Qin Feiyang and Madman and said, But have you ever thought about what kind of punishment Wu will face when she returns to the phoenix nest? If you really want what's best for her, you should stay away from her. We'll talk about the future later. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. You're quite carefree. But what about Wu He? The clan elders and ancestors all died at the hands of you and Wu He. Right now, the souls they left outside might have already gone to complain to the Phoenix Empress. If Feng Ho is furious, not only will Wu be punished, I'm afraid Wu Er's father and I won't be able to get away with it. Worse, we might even lose our lives. Hua Dehong shook his head and sighed. His old face was filled with worry. Daifuku was the same. If such a day really comes, this junior won't just sit by and watch. Furthermore, Feng Ho only cares about her own benefits. When the time comes, bring back more law miniatures or sovereign divine weapons. Maybe she won't punish you and might even praise you. Qin Feiyang smiled and said. Hua Dehong pondered for a while and shook his head. I hope so. Grandfather, everything will be fine when the time comes. Don't worry so much, okay? Furthermore, Qin Feiyang and the others have indeed helped me a lot. The Mystic Ice Divine Bow and the 4 Sovereign Divine Weapons were subdued by Qin Feiyang. They have already made a blood oath and will only listen to me. Right now, even Lord Feng Ho can't control them. Also, Qin Feiyang gave me a law of fire miniatures. Princess Huifeng said. Blood oath? Law of fire miniatures? Hua Dehong was shocked. Yes. Princess Huifeng nodded and said secretly, to tell you the truth, the dragons have also been wiped out. Only Long Chen is left now. Long Chen doesn't have any hostility towards Qin Feiyang and the others. Even Long Chen doesn't care about the Dragon King's orders. Why are you so stubborn? Furthermore, there's a good saying. When a general is outside, he won't obey military orders. Especially when we're fighting with Qin Feiyang and the others in the Sky Bell Divine Treasure, it's better to work together and find more Law of Fire miniatures and Sovereign Divine weapons. This way, when we face the Divine Kingdom in the future, the Feng people will have more confidence. For this somewhat stubborn old man in front of her, Princess Fire Phoenix could be said to be earnestly persuading him. Sigh. When Hua Dehong heard this, he couldn't help but let out a sigh. He raised his head and looked at Qin Feiyang and the other two, and nodded, all right, let's cooperate, but you can't bully others too much. In the future, the divine objects we obtain must be divided equally. Of course. Qin Feiyang smiled. Wouldn't it have been better if you had done this earlier? You had to force this ancestor to take action. Not only did I wipe out your Feng people, but I also damaged the harmony between us. What a loss, isn't it? Blood Ancestor sneered. Hua Dehong laughed bitterly. He thought that this was an opportunity to easily get rid of these 3 people, but who would have thought that the other party would have so many sovereign divine weapons? What's going on with the Ice Phoenix Sword and the Golden Dragon Spear? Suddenly, Hua Dehong looked at Princess Huifeng and asked. Obviously. They have all submitted to Qin Feiyang. Princess Huifeng smiled bitterly. What? Hua Dehong was dumbfounded. It's all Bing Runing's fault. Why did she have to provoke this fierce person? In the future, if Feng Ho really wants to pursue this matter, Bing Runing will not be able to escape punishment for losing the Ice Phoenix Sword. Princess Huifeng secretly snorted. It seems that the dragons have suffered a greater loss than us. When the Dragon King finds out about this, he will probably go crazy with anger. Hua Dehong shook his head. Qin Feiyang looked at Hua Dehong and asked, Old Senior, I saw that all of you returned with injuries. Did you encounter some trouble? We did encounter some trouble. Not long after we arrived here, we found 2 sovereign divine weapons. Originally, we were confident that we would win and went to suppress them, but we didn't expect that they would call for another helper. This helper is also a sovereign divine weapon. All these years, we have been entangled with them. Hua Dehong said irritably. Haven't you subdued it yet? Princess Huafeng asked. No. Hua Dehong shook his head. That's impossible. The Fire Phoenix Saber, the Divine Phoenix Spear, and the Divine Phoenix Axe are 3 sovereign divine weapons. In addition, you and the other 3 ancestors should not have been entangled for so long. Princess Huafeng frowned. Although we all have ultimate intents, we can only help from the side. If those 3 sovereign divine weapons want to escape, the Fire Phoenix Saber and the others won't be able to stop them. Moreover, they also have other helpers. Hua Dehong said. Other helpers? Qin Feiyang and the others were surprised. Yes. 2 powerhouses that have condensed physical bodies. And 10 purple gold skeletons. As for the other skeletons, there are too many to count. When we returned, they chased us for half a day. Hua Dehong shook his head and sighed. Condensed physical bodies, Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other. The blood ancestor had said that skeletons that had condensed physical bodies were existences that had grasped the ultimate intents of an ordinary law. Where are they now? Madman asked. Not far. In a mountain in the southeast direction. It's at most a day's journey. Hua Dehong said. A day's journey. Madman's eyes flickered as he looked at Hua Dehong and said, the Feng people only have the 3 of you left now. No one will come to the Longhu mountain range again. Why don't we kill our way over now? That's right. Hua Dehong slapped his head. Now that the Feng people's sovereign divine weapons had arrived, coupled with the 8 sovereign divine weapons in the hands of Qin Feiyang and the others, wouldn't it be easy to suppress those 3 sovereign divine weapons? Hua Dehong took out a divine life pill and threw it into his mouth. He looked at the others and said, then let's go. We must take them down and make up for the losses of the Feng people. Since they had lost the Ice Phoenix sword, they naturally had to make up for it. Then lead the way. Blood ancestors' eyes flickered. The 3 sovereign divine weapons were a force that couldn't be underestimated. Once they were subdued, the success rate of rescuing the 3 sovereign divine weapons would undoubtedly be higher. Whoosh! Immediately. Under Hua Dehong's lead, the group sped toward the southeast. A day passed in a flash. The next day. A huge mountain entered the sight of Qin Feiyang and the others. Looking around, there were traces of battle left behind everywhere, and skeletons could be clearly seen in the broken mountains. As far as the eye could see, there were no less than 10,000 skeletons. There were skeletons of fierce beasts. There were also human-shaped skeletons. There were white skeletons, red skeletons, and golden skeletons. Just ahead. Hua Dehong pointed ahead and said in a deep voice. So many skeletons. Kiki, this is really a gift from the heavens to this ancestor. Blood ancestor smiled coldly. Activating the instant time, he took the lead and charged forward. The law of slaughter roared out and surged towards the skeletons in front of him. Chapter 37:30. What is he trying to do? Hua Dehong and Daifuku were bewildered. Qin Feiyang, Madman, and Princess Huafeng looked at each other and couldn't help but smile bitterly. What else could he do? Of course, he was devouring the souls of these skeletons. But to be honest, the blood ancestor's method was really enviable. He didn't even need to comprehend the ultimate meaning himself. Who is it? As soon as the blood ancestor's murderous aura appeared, the skeletons in the mountain in front suddenly became chaotic. The person who wants your lives. The blood ancestor laughed. The law of slaughter turned into a blood-red sea, covering the sky and the sun. Any skeleton that was submerged by the law of slaughter was instantly crushed. Even the golden skeleton couldn't resist. And between the blood ancestor's eyebrows, a blood-red vortex appeared. A bloody hand stretched out and crazily grew, covering the sky and the earth. All the souls of the undead were devoured. There's actually such a method? Daifuku looked at this scene in horror. Sure enough, he's an out-and-out old devil. Hua Dehong whispered. Obviously, he wasn't too unfamiliar with this method. Who is so blind to come here and cause trouble? Accompanied by a purple-golden divine light, purple-gold skeletons came out of the mountain one by one. Just in time. Hand over the souls of the undead to me. The blood ancestor went crazy. What? His law of slaughter seems to have reached the level of the ultimate meaning. Looking at the murderous blood ancestor, the purple-gold skeletons that rushed out immediately turned around and fled for their lives. Hee. How could the blood ancestor let these purple-gold skeletons go so easily? One had to know. The undead souls of the purple-gold skeletons contained far more law of slaughter than the golden skeletons. For him, the purple-gold skeletons were the real tonic. In an instant, the blood ancestor chased after them like lightning. The law of slaughter swept out, crushing the group of purple-gold skeletons and devouring the souls of the undead. Awesome! The blood ancestor's face was full of enjoyment, as if he was smoking a cigarette. You actually dare to come here and slaughter people? You must be tired of living. As the two of them roared, the man and beast flew over murderously. Their auras shook the heavens and earth. They are the two experts who have condensed their physical bodies. Hua Dehong said. Qin Feiyang and the other three looked over. That person was a middle-aged man. He was 3 meters tall and his upper body was naked. His skin was dark and his muscles were as hard as fists. They were filled with explosive power. That was a living giant. As for that ferocious beast, it was an enormous tiger several tens of meters tall. Its entire body was covered in pitch-black fur, and its washbasin-sized ferocious eyes were emitting an astonishingly ominous glint. It seems that the ultimate profundities they've grasped should be the law of strength and the law of darkness. Madman muttered. That's right. In terms of strength, they are not inferior to this old man in the slightest. However, in front of the blood ancestor, they are nothing. Hua Dehong said. As expected. The blood ancestor looked at the human and beast with disdain. Boom! The power of death surged out, and the world instantly turned into hell. The power of death surged, toppling mountains and overturning seas. Damn it! Why is there such a terrifying human expert here? When the human and beast saw the power of death surging towards them, their expressions changed. They immediately turned around and activated their escape mode. Escape? The blood ancestor smiled contemptuously. He raised his hand and pointed in the air. A terrifying power of death surged out from his fingertips like a volcanic eruption and gathered in the sky above. In just an instant, the power of death flooded the sky within a radius of billions of meters. It was as if the sky was covered in clouds formed by demonic energy. The earth immediately fell into darkness. Qin Feiyang and the others looked up at the sky. Because they knew that the ultimate profundities of the law of death were about to officially appear. Clang! Accompanied by an earth-shattering sound, a vast aura and a monstrous demonic aura spread out in the sky. Immediately after, a behemoth tore through the sky and appeared in the clouds. What is that? Madman was surprised. That behemoth was like a black world with a total of 18 layers. It was as if 18 worlds were stacked together. Each layer was different. There was a sea of fire. There was a mountain of blades, there was a demon king roaring. There was a ferocious ghost roaring, between the clouds, it looked like an illusion. It was very unreal. This is the ultimate profundities of the law of death, the 18 layers of hell. Hua Dehong clenched his fists, his eyes filled with desire. 18 layers of hell. Qin Feiyang and the other two looked at each other. It turned out that each of the 18 layers was a piece of hell. With the appearance of the 18 layers of hell, it was as if the underworld had reappeared in the world. The entire sky was filled with images of gods and demons. The king of hell who ruled over hell. The king of hell who ruled over Yellow Spring. There were also countless ferocious and frightening ghost gods and ghost kings. The gods and demons appeared together to suppress all living beings in the world. Not to mention the human and beast, even Qin Feiyang and the other four felt an uncontrollable fear in their hearts. It was as if at this moment, the legendary underworld had really appeared above their heads. Die! The blood ancestor laughed sinisterly. As he waved his hand, the 18 layers of hell suddenly erupted with a shocking demonic power. It carried the phantoms of gods and demons that filled the sky and suppressed the human and beast. No! The human and beast roared, their eyes filled with despair. The aura of death directly drowned their courage and fighting spirit, leaving only fear in their hearts. Boom! As the 18 layers of hell fell, the human and beast let out a shrill scream as their bodies were shattered in the void one after another. Their physical bodies were also very strong. They were at the supremacy level. Even so, under the 18 layers of hell, they were as weak as rotten wood. At the same time, the bloody hand between the blood ancestors' eyebrows quickly reached out and grabbed the souls of the human and beast. Qin Feiyang looked at this scene in astonishment. The human and beast had already condensed flesh and blood, so they should be considered divine souls. Since they were divine souls, they were naturally no different from ordinary people. But how could the blood ancestor devour them? The 18 layers of hell didn't disappear, and demonic power enveloped all directions. The blood ancestor didn't even need to make a move. The phantoms of gods and demons that filled the sky were like ruthless gods of death, wiping out countless skeletons. This is the ultimate meaning of the law of death. Whether it was Qin Feiyang or the mad scientist, they couldn't help but be fascinated. Because they both grasped the law of death. They hadn't seen it with their own eyes before, so it wasn't a big deal. But at this moment, when they saw the terror of the ultimate meaning of the law of death, their hearts were filled with an unprecedented desire. However, in contrast, the mad scientist was even more anxious. Because Qin Feiyang now at least had the epitome of the law of life and death, but the mad scientist didn't even have the epitome, let alone the ultimate meaning. To grasp the ultimate meaning, the first condition was to comprehend the epitome of the law of death or find the epitome of the law of death. Otherwise, everything was just a dream. Chapter 37-31. Boom! Just as the blood ancestor was about to unleash a massacre, 3 earth-shattering explosions sounded from the depths of the mountain. In the next moment, 3 terrifying God Realm auras surged forth like a tidal wave. Everywhere they went, mountains crumbled and the earth cracked. It was as if doomsday had arrived. It's them. Hua Dehong stared at the depths of the mountain, his eyes flashing. Qin Feiyang, the mad scientist, Princess Huafeng, and Daifuku immediately looked up. At the same time, the blood ancestor also looked up, his eyes filled with blood-red light. Rumble, not long after. Accompanied by a deafening explosion, 3 beams of divine light shot out from the depths of the mountain and entered their vision. There were 3 divine artifacts. The first was a giant cauldron. It was 1,000 feet wide and was completely black and gray. Mountains, rivers, and all living things were engraved on it, and it emitted a dazzling divine light. The second was an ancient mirror. It was the size of a wash basin and had a gray frame with complicated runes carved on it. The surface of the mirror was the color of ice, as if it was formed from fragments of time and space. The third item was a pitch-black demonic pearl. The reason it was called a demonic pearl was because it emitted a shocking demonic aura. It was the size of an adult's fist and as black as ink. There was also a dragon snake-like beast totem on it. These 3 divine artifacts are the cauldron of all creation, the void mirror, and the illusory demonic pearl. The cauldron of all creation has the ability to contain all things. You can think of it as a spatial divine artifact, but its power cannot be underestimated. The void mirror and the illusory demonic pearl also have heaven-defying powers. Hua Dahong said. The Feng people had suffered greatly at the hands of these three divine artifacts over the years, so they knew them like the back of their hands. Even if they have heaven-defying powers, they can't stop us. Daifuku smiled. He had absolute confidence. After all, even they had 9 divine artifacts, not to mention Qin Feiyang and the Blood Ancestor. The Blood Ancestor was strong enough to fight against a divine artifact. Human, you're courting death. The Universal Cauldron and the 3 divine ruler weapons attacked the Blood Ancestor's ultimate intent, the 18 levels of hell. With the 3 sovereign weapons working together, it was naturally a one-sided battle. With a loud bang, the 18 levels of hell collapsed on the spot, turning into a terrifying force of death that flooded in all directions. However, to the 3 sovereign divine weapons, the power of death posed no threat at all. The ultimate profundity of the laws of death. A ruthless character has indeed come this time. But in our territory, even if you are a dragon, you still have to obediently lie down for us. After destroying the 18 layers of hell, the 3 sovereign divine weapons sneered as they charged toward the Blood Ancestor. The Blood Ancestor laughed. This ancestor has always been arrogant, but I didn't think that there would be someone even more arrogant than this ancestor today. Who do you think you are? You still dare to call yourself this ancestor? The 3 sovereigns' divine weapons were extremely disdainful. What if we join in? The Fire Phoenix Divine Axe and the Divine Phoenix Spear appeared in Hua Dahong's hand. Is this the helper you called? The 3 sovereign divine weapons asked, and they saw Hua Dahong. You're only allowed to call helpers. Hua Dahong sneered. Senior brother, let's go. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed slightly as he activated the concealment art and circled behind the 3 sovereign divine weapons with frenzy. Princess Huafeng glanced at the void where Qin Feiyang and Frenzy had disappeared, then looked at Daifuku and smiled. Let's go and help too. Okay. Daifuku nodded. With the eldest princess here, he was full of confidence. Whoosh! The 2 of them also rushed to the Blood Ancestor and Hua Dahong's side. There are 2 more minions. The 3 sovereigns of the Myriad Cauldron were stunned. Minions? The corners of Princess Huafeng's mouth rose as the Fire Phoenix blade appeared. She looked at Daifuku and said, for you to defend yourself. Thank you, Your Highness. Daifuku didn't stand on ceremony. In the Sky Bell Divine Treasure, only with a sovereign divine weapon would one have the ability to protect themselves. That's right. They could only protect themselves. If you thought that with a sovereign divine weapon, you could do whatever you wanted in the Sky Bell Divine Treasure and sweep through everything, you were gravely mistaken. After handing the Fire Phoenix blade to Daifuku, Princess Huafeng looked at the 3 sovereign divine weapons and chuckled. Now, I'll show you the strength of a small fry like me. Clang! As soon as she finished speaking, the Fire Phoenix Divine Jade, Fire Phoenix Sword, Black Ice Divine Hammer, Black Ice Divine Bow, Black Sky Divine Sword, and Black Sky Fan all appeared in an instant. The 6 sovereign divine weapons were like 6 gods descending to the mortal world. The 3 sovereign divine weapons were so frightened that they immediately turned and fled. What kind of joke was this? 9 sovereign divine weapons and a human who had grasped the ultimate intent. This was a situation where they could crush them. They couldn't understand why the other party had brought so many sovereign divine weapons. However, just as the 3 sovereign divine weapons turned and fled, 2 more humans appeared in the void in front of them. They were Qin Feiyang and Frenzy, who had gone behind them. There are more people. But they don't seem to be very strong. They don't have a sovereign divine weapon either, let's kill them. The 3 divine weapons of the sovereigns were also ruthless characters. With just a single word of disagreement, they attacked Qin Feiyang and his companion. You think we're easy to bully again? Frenzy was stunned. You're obviously looking down on us. Can you bear it? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. Of course not. Frenzy laughed. Ha! Qin Feiyang smiled. The 8 sovereign divine weapons, including the sword of Thanatos, appeared one after another. What the hell? The myriad cauldron, void mirror, and illusory demon orb immediately came to a halt. They couldn't help but feel shocked. Who the hell were these people? 8 or 9 sovereign divine weapons at the drop of a hat. How were they going to let them live? How dare you look down on us? Where did you get the courage? Frenzy's face was full of disdain. Don't be rash. We can talk this out. Surrounded by more than a dozen sovereign divine weapons, the 3 sovereign divine weapons were terrified to the extreme. We're not rash. But you guys, don't be rash. Otherwise, you'll end up being crushed. Princess Huifeng laughed. Good, good, good. We admit defeat. How about this, we'll give you 3 law miniatures and let us leave. The myriad cauldron said fearfully. What? 3 law miniatures. Qin Feiyang and the others couldn't help but reveal a shocked expression. Thinking back, they had only found 2 law miniatures in all these years. One was the law of slaughter and the other was the law of fire. But now, this myriad cauldron actually wanted to give them 3 law miniatures at once. This was truly an unexpected surprise. Not only could they subdue 3 sovereign divine weapons, but they could also obtain 3 law miniatures. This was a huge profit. Frenzy asked calmly, what law miniatures? We won't be interested in ordinary ones. Of course you'll be interested in them. Because there's an ultimate law miniatures. The myriad cauldron said. Ultimate law. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other. Their eyes revealed a trace of desire. The myriad cauldron said, Death law, wind law, war law, 3 miniatures. Death law. Frenzy's eyes trembled. Wasn't this the law miniatures that he had been longing for? Moreover, they could also use the war law and wind law miniatures. The myriad cauldron tempted, as long as you're willing to let us go, this lord will immediately give it to you. What? Are you threatening us? If we don't let you go, you won't give it to us. Frenzy's brows twitched when he heard this. No, no, it's just a discussion, just a discussion. The myriad cauldron smiled flatteringly. There's no room for discussion. If you don't give it to us, then you can take the law miniatures and go to hell together. Frenzy sneered. Let's talk nicely, let's talk nicely, it's not easy for everyone, there's no need to make a fuss like this. The 3 sovereign divine weapons begged for mercy. There's nothing to talk about. If you want to live, you can only submit to us and obediently hand over the law miniatures. Frenzy snorted coldly. Fine, we will submit. The 3 sovereign divine weapons answered straightforwardly. What? For a moment it was Qin Feiyang and the others who were caught off guard. They thought that they would have to spend a lot of effort, but they didn't expect it to go so smoothly. They directly nodded and agreed to submit. Could it be a trick? Princess Huifeng transmitted her voice. It's indeed a little strange. Could it be that they are pretending to submit and are preparing to quickly escape when we're not paying attention? Frenzy secretly thought. If that's the case, then their wishful thinking is wrong. Qin Feiyang secretly smiled, looked at the 3 sovereign divine weapons, and said with a smile, then make a blood oath to be loyal to us forever, never betray us, and obey our words unconditionally. Blood oath? The 3 sovereign divine weapons were stunned. It's also a kind of oath. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Oath? The 3 sovereign divine weapons immediately mocked in their hearts. They were already peak sovereign divine weapons, yet they still believed in oaths. Weren't they childish and naive? Qin Feiyang moved closer to Frenzy's ear and whispered, senior brother, I'll have to trouble you to capture a human-shaped skeleton and bring it over. The madman rolled his eyes and chuckled. All right. After saying that, he used the ghost steps and turned around to rush down the mountain. Hurry up. Qin Feiyang looked at the three sovereign divine weapons and urged. Wait. Qin Feiyang, shouldn't we discuss how to distribute them first? Hua Dehong suddenly said. Qin Feiyang was stunned and said, Old senior, shouldn't we first subdue them and then slowly discuss how to distribute them? What if something unexpected happened midway? So if they could be subdued, it was best to do so immediately. Hua Dehong said, This old man knows your concerns, but now, we have more than a dozen sovereign divine weapons. What can happen? Okay. How do you think we should distribute them? Qin Feiyang nodded and asked. Since they were so impatient, it seemed like they didn't trust him at all. Hua Dehong shook his head and said, There are only 3 sovereign divine weapons now. To be honest, this old man also doesn't know how to distribute them. If I give you 2, the phone people seem to be at a disadvantage. If you give the phone people 2, then you definitely won't be willing. Boom. However, just as he finished speaking, a shocking fiendish aura surged toward Hua Dehong like a tide. Chapter 37-32. Hua Dehong immediately looked at the blood ancestor. Because this murderous aura came from the blood ancestor. Qin Feiyang, Princess Huafeng, and Daifuku also looked at the blood ancestor suspiciously. Why did he suddenly flip out? The blood ancestor looked at Hua Dehong, his eyes flashing with a cold light. Am I just air in your eyes? Huh? Hua Dehong panicked and hurriedly said, What do you mean? How dare I treat you like air? The blood ancestor said angrily, If I'm not air, why didn't you include my share? Am I not worthy of having a sovereign divine weapon? This, Hua Dehong looked at the blood ancestor in shock. So it was because of this. But wasn't the blood ancestor and Qin Feiyang together? Why did he want to have a share? Wasn't he deliberately taking advantage of the blood ancestor? The blood ancestor sneered and said, Do you think I should only have one spot because I'm with Qin Feiyang? Shouldn't that be the case? Hua Dehong asked. What a joke. Qin Feiyang is Qin Feiyang, and I'm not the same. How can we be the same? The blood ancestor said angrily. But you're both humans, Hua Dehong hurriedly explained. Yes. Indeed, we are all humans. But we are from 2 different eras. We are not related at all. So, of course I have to be separated from him and take 1 spot each. What? You're not convinced? The blood ancestor laughed. Hua Dehong clenched his hands. Wasn't this bullying? Grandpa. Actually, Qin Feiyang and the blood ancestor aren't as close as you think. He only found out about the blood ancestor's identity in the Sky Bell Divine Treasure. They used to have a grudge against each other. So, it's not appropriate to put them together. Princess Huafeng said telepathically. What's wrong with that? They're both humans. Besides, the blood ancestor and Qin Feiyang's ancestor were brothers. I say, girl, why do you always speak up for an outsider? I can't tell that Grandpa is fighting for the interests of the phone people. Hua Dehong angrily glared at Princess Huafeng. I know. But we do have to be reasonable. Princess Huafeng said. Hua Dehong really didn't know what to do with his granddaughter. It was said that a married woman was like spilled water. But now, wasn't she still unmarried? How could he help an outsider? Wait a minute. Why would this old man think that? Could it be? Hua Dehong looked at Princess Huafeng in surprise and asked, Do you like Qin Feiyang? Ah. Princess Huafeng looked at Hua Dehong. The old man's imagination was too rich. You don't like Qin Feiyang? Hua Dehong frowned and asked again, Then do you like lunatics? Grandpa, can you stop talking nonsense? Princess Huifeng was speechless. You don't like them either? Then why are you so protective of them? Hua Dehong was so angry that his beard blew and his eyes widened. I'm not protecting them. I just feel that we shouldn't push our luck. If the blood ancestor didn't mention it, we can pretend that we don't know. But now that he has, we should give him a place. Princess Huifeng said telepathically. Hua Dehong said angrily, do you know that even if we give it to the blood ancestor, Qin Feiyang will benefit in the end? He has the right to give it to whoever he wants. However, the blood ancestor might not give it to Qin Feiyang. After all, he also needs to increase his strength. Princess Huifeng thought. Okay. I can't win against you. I'll leave it to you in the future. I don't want to suffer from your anger if I don't do a good job. Hua Dehong waved his hand, looking quite annoyed. Princess Huifeng smiled bitterly and looked at the blood ancestor. Senior blood ancestor, I apologize on behalf of my grandpa. You're a sensible girl. The blood ancestor nodded in satisfaction, and the murderous aura dissipated. At the same time, the cauldron, the void mirror, and the illusory demon orb watched Qin Feiyang and the others argue endlessly. They couldn't help but laugh in their hearts. What was there to argue about? Did they really think that they would obediently submit? A bunch of ignorant idiots. Qin Feiyang looked at Hua Dehong and smiled. In that case, we'll each have one of the 3 sovereign divine weapons. I choose the cauldron of creation. I choose the illusory demon orb. The blood ancestor said. Then we can only choose the void mirror. Princess Huifeng smiled. They were all sovereign divine weapons anyway. It didn't matter who they chose. Swear to the people you're loyal to. Qin Feiyang told the 3 sovereign divine weapons how to make a blood oath. The 3 sovereign divine weapons were also quite nimble, and they swore the blood oath in unison. It was worth mentioning that when the void mirror made the blood oath, just like the profound ice divine hammer and the other 4 sovereign divine weapons, it was only loyal to Princess Fire Phoenix. Hua Dehong and Feng Ho had nothing to do with the void mirror. This was also Qin Feiyang's intention. As long as the white-eyed wolf could deal with this woman, the sovereign divine weapons by Princess Huifeng's side would be equivalent to theirs. In the end, it would not fall into the hands of Feng Ho. After making the blood oath, the 3 sovereign divine weapons watched the seal descend. They couldn't help but be surprised. What was going on? Why would the heavens descend? Now, don't think about anything for the time being. I'll put on a good show for you later. I'm not joking with you. If you don't listen to me, you will be destroyed. Qin Feiyang looked at the 3 sovereign divine weapons and said. Destruction of both body and soul. The 3 sovereign divine weapons were surprised. Although they were suspected of scaring them, looking at Qin Feiyang's serious expression, they couldn't help but feel inexplicably flustered. Boom! At this time, a battle fluctuation came from afar. Obviously, Madman had found a skeleton and was trying his best to capture it. After a while, the battle fluctuation disappeared. Soon, Madman came back with a blood-colored skeleton that was on the verge of death. Qin Feiyang also forced the blood-colored skeleton to make a blood oath. Moreover, the conditions of the blood oath were quite harsh. The slightest thought of disobeying would be punished by the heavens. When Madman let go of the blood-colored skeleton immediately fled. But it didn't escape far. Crack! Blood clouds covered the sky, and a heavenly tribulation descended. The blood-colored skeleton screamed on the spot and turned into ashes. What? The universal cauldron, the void mirror, and the illusory demon orb all looked at this scene in shock. Did you see that? This is the result of violating the blood oath. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. How is that possible? The 3 sovereign divine weapons couldn't believe it. It was actually an oath that would come true. Give up on your thoughts. If it weren't for the blood oath, do you think we would work for this bastard? Gold Sun Divine Sword and Silver Moon Divine Sword sneered. You guys are also controlled. The three sovereign divine weapons were surprised. Otherwise? The two sovereign divine swords sighed deeply. So what if it comes true? We are sovereign divine weapons. How can a mere heavenly tribulation destroy us? The three sovereign divine weapons were silent for a long time before roaring unwillingly. Then you can give it a try. The two of us can confirm it. If you really can't hurt our sovereign divine weapons, we will immediately break up with Qin Feiyang. The two sovereign divine swords laughed. Why don't you try? The three divine weapons of the sovereigns were so angry that they exploded like thunder. We are not as courageous as you. The two sovereign divine swords flattered. Get lost. The three sovereign divine weapons snorted coldly. What a joke. This was a matter of life and death. How could they casually try? If the heavenly tribulation could really destroy them, wouldn't they be courting death? Even if they wanted to try, they couldn't take the risk themselves. Don't talk nonsense. Hurry up and hand over the law miniature. Frenzy stretched out his hand, his eyes full of desire. Sigh. The universal cauldron sighed and transmitted its voice to the void mirror and illusory demon orb. Let's follow them first. In the future, we will find a chance to let the other sovereign divine weapons try. Okay. The void mirror responded. Wait. Don't we have an old enemy? Why don't we take these people to find it and use it to test the power of the blood oath? Suddenly. The illusory demon orb said. Each of them was a cunning old fox. None of them were good people. Makes sense. If the power of the blood oath is really that strong, we won't lose anything. Instead, we can use this opportunity to get rid of an enemy. In that case, let's not give them the law miniature for the time being. The three sovereign divine weapons immediately came to an agreement. They looked at Qin Feiyang and said, compared to the law miniature, there's something more important for you. They were loyal to Qin Feiyang, the blood ancestor, and Princess Wufeng, so even if they disobeyed Frenzy and didn't take out the law miniature, they wouldn't be punished. What is it? Qin Feiyang and the others were curious. The universal cauldron said, there's another sovereign divine weapon nearby. Really? They were pleasantly surprised. Do we still dare to lie to you? It's absolutely true. As long as you nod, we'll take you there now. The universal cauldron said temptingly. Then what are we waiting for? Lead the way. Frenzy urged. These surprises really came one after another. Follow us. After saying that, the universal cauldron, the void mirror, and the illusory demon orb took the lead and flew forward. Qin Feiyang and the others also put away their sovereign divine weapons and chased after them under the blood ancestor's lead. Old Qin. Why do I feel like these three are also scammers? Frenzy muttered. Who told them to be sovereign divine weapons? If they're scammers, so be it. Qin Feiyang sighed helplessly. No matter how much of a scammer the sovereign divine weapons were, they could only accept it. They couldn't destroy them just because of their personalities, right? What a pity. About 2 days passed. Finally. They saw a lake. The lake was calm, and the lake was dead silent. It was difficult to see a skeleton nearby. However, at the bottom of the lake, they could feel a terrifying aura from afar. It's at the bottom of the lake. However, this guy's personality is a bit arrogant, so it won't be easy to subdue it. You have to be mentally prepared. The universal cauldron stopped outside and said. If you don't submit, you'll die. Frenzy laughed. When the three divine weapons of the sovereigns heard this, they chuckled secretly. Then, their divine auras burst forth and surged toward the lake. Chapter 37-33. Boom. As the three sovereign divine weapons arrived, the lake was torn apart. The water in the lake disappeared in an instant, and dust billowed. "It's you again." An angry roar sounded. A battle sword that was imbued with the power to annihilate heaven and earth charged out from the dust cloud toward the three sovereign divine weapons. The battle sword was 2 meters long and 5 fingers wide. The thickness of the sword was 2 centimeters, and it was completely black. It was a heavy sword. There was no blade on it, but it was no weaker than the other sovereign divine weapons. Don't be rash, we're not the ones looking for you this time. It's these humans." The three sovereign divine weapons quickly explained. Humans. The heavy sword finally noticed Qin Feiyang and the others. "Yes. They want you to submit and work for them." The cauldron of all things said. "What? Work for them?" The heavy sword was furious. Its divine will shrouded Qin Feiyang and the others as it sneered. "How dare trash like you have any ideas about me? You don't know what's good for you. Trash." The Blood Patriarch raised his brows upon hearing this. The 18 layers of hell, the ultimate intent of the law of death, appeared and unleashed an apocalyptic might toward the heavy sword. Ultimate intent. The heavy sword was shocked and immediately stopped underestimating it. Numerous strands of sword chi seemed to have transformed into an enormous wave that tore through the heavens and the earth as it smashed down towards the 18 levels of hell. Accompanied by an earth-shattering sound, the two shattered in the void and a terrifying destructive power swept in all directions. Clang! At the same time, the sword of Thanatos and the fire phoenix sword appeared and released their power to protect Qin Feiyang and the others. What? There are sovereign divine weapons? The heavy sword was shocked. It felt that the situation didn't seem right. Bastard! You're here to trick me. Suddenly, the heavy sword roared at the cauldron of all things and immediately turned around to escape. Hey! The three sovereign divine weapons snickered. They seemed to have expected that the heavy sword would escape. Therefore, they were prepared to surround it and block its path. What are you doing? The heavy sword roared. Since you know that we're here to trick you, why don't you submit? The void mirror chuckled. Bastards, I will fight you to the death today. The heavy sword was enraged, and it attacked the three sovereign weapons in a frenzy. You. The three sovereign divine weapons harumphed coldly and unleashed their full power to attack the heavy sword. With a loud bang, the heavy sword was blasted away, and cracks appeared on its body. Don't tell me you've already submitted to them? The heavy sword asked. Why else would we bring them here? The illusory demon orb cackled. It actually submitted to a group of humans. This is a disgrace to our dominator divine weapon. The heavy sword roared. Shame. The three sovereign divine weapons were enraged as well, and they charged forward in a frenzy. The blood ancestor sneered coldly. He once again activated his ultimate intent and attacked the heavy sword. Looking at the majestic blood ancestor, Qin Feiyang and the others couldn't help but reveal looks of envy. How great would it be if they could fight against a sovereign weapon like this? Especially Hu Dahong. The gap between him and the blood ancestor was the smallest. They were only one ultimate law away. However, even though it was only a step away, it was like a natural chasm that he couldn't cross. Perhaps he would never be able to cross it in his entire life. So right now, what he needed the most was a miniature version of an ultimate law. The battle lasted for several hundred breaths. Faced with the absolute suppression of 4 against 1, the heavy sword broke into pieces on the spot with a cracking sound. How is it? The void mirror smiled smugly. Humph. I'd rather die than submit. The heavy sword harumphed coldly. You have backbone. But that's not up to you. The blood ancestor and the three sovereign divine weapons forcibly brought the heavy sword to Qin Feiyang's side. Don't be nervous. We'll treat you well. Qin Feiyang looked at the heavy sword with a smile, as if he were abducting a child. Kill me or torture me, do as you please. The heavy sword was unyielding and resolutely refused to compromise. Don't be so rash. Isn't it good to keep it alive? To tell you the truth, he just wants you to swear allegiance to him. Just deal with it for now. The void mirror and the 3 sovereign divine weapons secretly instigated. Swear. The heavy sword was stunned. Yes. It's just a mere oath. What are you afraid of? The 3 sovereign divine weapons secretly said. That's true. The heavy sword pondered for a moment, then said to Qin Feiyang, fine, I'll submit, but I have a condition. Qin Feiyang looked at the heavy sword in surprise. Why did it suddenly change its mind? He asked, what condition? The heavy sword said, let those 3 bastards be my lackeys in the future. Old thing, you're a bit unethical. You actually want to take advantage of us? The 3 sovereign divine weapons said angrily. I'm unethical. How can you have the face to say that? Who's the one trying to trick me now? The heavy sword roared. The 3 sovereign divine weapons trembled in anger. Qin Feiyang looked at the 3 sovereign divine weapons, and a smile gradually appeared on his face. He looked at the heavy sword and said, I can promise you, but the premise is that you have to make a blood oath. After all, your sovereign divine weapons are too powerful. I don't dare to believe your nonsense. What? It's a blood oath. The heavy sword exclaimed. Qin Feiyang was stunned. What's going on? Looking at its reaction, it turned out that this sovereign divine weapon knew about the blood oath. The 3 sovereign divine weapons were also stunned. They transmitted, old man, how do you know about the blood oath? But the heavy sword ignored them, and it didn't answer Qin Feiyang, remaining silent. After a long time, the heavy sword asked, do you know a golden-robed young man? Golden-robed young man? Qin Feiyang and Madman looked at each other, and they recalled in their minds. Golden-robed young man, they didn't seem to have seen any golden-robed young man before. The first prince of the dragons wore a golden robe, but this person didn't seem to have entered the Heaven Bell divine treasure. Wait. Madman's eyes trembled as he transmitted his voice, could it be the white-eyed wolf? The white-eyed wolf. Qin Feiyang immediately shivered. That's right. Wasn't the white-eyed wolf a golden-robed young man after turning into a human form? Is it him? Qin Feiyang quickly waved his hand and formed the human form of the white-eyed wolf. Yes. It's him. The heavy sword replied. Princess Huafeng, Daifuku, Huadahong and the blood ancestor all looked at the white-eyed wolf suspiciously. Because they had never seen the human form of the white-eyed wolf. And although Daifuku, Huadahong and Princess Huafeng had seen it on Sky Cloud Island, they didn't know it was the white-eyed wolf. Then they looked at Qin Feiyang and Madman. Hearing the heavy sword's answer, the two couldn't help but become excited. They finally found the whereabouts of the white-eyed wolf and asked, where did you see him? A few years ago in the Fallen Canyon. The heavy sword said. The Fallen Canyon? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Where was that? The heavy sword said, the Fallen Canyon is in the northeast. It's half a month's journey from here. Qin Feiyang turned to the blood ancestor and asked, Ancestor, do you know? The Sky Bell Divine Treasury is so big. I don't know every place. The blood ancestor shook his head. Qin Feiyang looked at the heavy sword again and asked, so, you saw the blood oath at his place? The white-eyed wolf naturally knew about the blood oath. The blood oath wasn't a secret technique that needed to be cultivated. As long as you knew the method, you could master it. For example, Madman, Princess Huafeng, the blood ancestor, Daifuku, and Huadahong all knew how to make the blood oath. After all, 2 days ago, when the three sovereign weapons made the blood oath, Qin Feiyang had already told them the method. Yes. The heavy sword replied. This guy actually used the blood oath? Could it be that he's also subduing a sovereign weapon? Madman was secretly surprised. It's possible. Qin Feiyang looked at the heavy sword and said, then make the blood oath first. Blood oath, the heavy sword murmured. Qin Feiyang's eyes turned cold. He said in a deep voice, when you heard that we made you make the blood oath, you began to hesitate. Then when you said you would submit, you were lying to us. The heavy sword stammered. Clang! The red sword and several other sovereign weapons appeared. So many sovereign weapons. The heavy sword couldn't help but tremble. Its heart fell into despair. With so many sovereign weapons, it was impossible to escape. However, if it had to make the blood oath, it would have to listen to these humans in the future. It was really unwilling. You won't listen when we talk to you nicely. Do you want to force us to attack? Madman's eyes flashed with killing intent. Sigh. Fine, I submit. The heavy sword finally compromised. Seeing this, the blood ancestor looked at Hua Dahong and the others and asked, this sovereign weapon will be given to Qin Feiyang first. Do you have any objections? Although he didn't know anything about the white-eyed wolf, based on Qin Feiyang and Madman's previous behavior, the heavy sword definitely knew something. Therefore, he took the initiative to speak, lest Hua Dahong jumped out to snatch it. There's no need to ask this old man. Wu will do whatever she says. Hua Dahong was very straightforward. Of course I have no objections. Princess Huafeng glanced at the heavy sword and smiled at the blood ancestor. The blood ancestor looked at Princess Huafeng. The more he looked at this junior of the opposing faction, the more satisfied he was. Thank you. Qin Feiyang thanked the blood ancestor and Princess Huafeng before holding the heavy sword and swearing a blood oath. Why do I feel like something's wrong? The myriad cauldron and the three sovereign weapons stared blankly at this scene. They had originally planned to let the heavy sword test the power of the blood oath, but looking at the current situation, it seemed that the heavy sword already knew the power of the blood oath. After swearing the blood oath, the heavy sword asked Qin Feiyang, then the previous conditions haven't changed, right? These three bastards will be my followers in the future. No. Qin Feiyang smiled. The three of you didn't expect this, did you? You deliberately came to trick me, but in the end, you became my followers. The heavy sword smiled proudly. The three sovereign weapons were indignant. At first, I thought that you were just here to trick me. But when I learned about the blood oath, I suddenly realized that you were here to harm me. Because once you violate the blood oath, you will be punished by the heavens. You want to use me as a test subject to test the power of the blood oath because you know my personality. I won't be willing to be controlled by humans and will definitely resist. This way, you can test the power of the blood oath and see if it can destroy us sovereign weapons. You guys are really vicious. The heavy sword laughed angrily. What? You still have such thoughts? Qin Feiyang and the madman glared at the three sovereign weapons. The three sovereign weapons couldn't help but panic. Humph. At first, I felt a little guilty for making you its little followers. But now, it seems that you deserve it. Qin Feiyang snorted. You are a classic example of trying to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice used to lure it. The madman laughed gloatingly. Yes. The three sovereign weapons flattered again and again. The heavy sword sneered. Don't think that you can get away with it. The power of the blood oath is enough to destroy our sovereign weapons because I saw it with my own eyes. What? The three sovereign weapons, including the gold sun sword and the silver moon sword, couldn't help but tremble. Chapter 37-34. You've seen the power of the blood oath? Qin Feiyang and the madman were also shocked. Could it be that the white-eyed wolf had subdued a sovereign weapon, but because the sovereign weapon was unwilling, it was killed by the heavenly tribulation? That's right. Do you still remember that old sly fox? The heavy sword was asking about the cauldron of all things and the 3 sovereign divine weapons. Of course. That old sly fox. We were tricked by him and lost 3 laws. I've long wanted to settle the score with him. The universal cauldron snorted. Ah! Qin Feiyang was shocked. The myriad cauldron and the 3 sovereign divine weapons were already considered to be complete rip-offs. Who would have thought that there would be something even more vicious than them? That old sly fox pretended to subdue the golden-clothed youth and then attacked him from behind. He was killed by the heavenly tribulation on the spot, not even leaving behind a trace. The heavy sword sneered. Hearing this, the 3 sovereign weapons, the gold sun divine sword, and the silver moon divine sword all broke out in cold sweat. When it came from Qin Feiyang's mouth, they still dared to question it. But when it came from the heavy sword, it was definitely true. The 5 sovereign weapons all broke out in cold sweat. Luckily, they didn't have any thoughts of disobedience during this period, otherwise they would have been destroyed. The heavy sword laughed. You wanted to trick me, but you ended up tricking yourself. This is retribution. From now on, listen to me obediently, little follower. Looking at the proud heavy sword, the 3 sovereign divine weapons gnashed their teeth in anger. The madman looked at the 3 sovereign weapons and laughed. Now, hand over the laws. Why should I listen to you? The universal cauldron snorted. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and looked at the universal cauldron. Senior brother's words are my words. You must listen, and listen unconditionally. The universal cauldron trembled and immediately became obedient. With a whoosh, 3 divine lights flew out from the cauldron. Qin Feiyang and the others immediately looked over. It was indeed the death laws, wind laws, and war laws. The madman's eyes lit up. He stepped forward and grabbed the miniature versions of the law of death and law of war. He would not let go even if he was beaten to death. Because he needed both of these miniature forms. As for Qin Feiyang, he had the epitome of the law of life and death. Not long after coming to the Sky Bell divine treasure, he had also comprehended the highest profundity of the law of war and obtained the epitome of the battle character formula. Therefore, he did not need it. The blood ancestor didn't need it either. He could rely on devouring the souls of the dead to strengthen his comprehension of the laws. If he really wanted to snatch it, he would definitely snatch the epitome of an ultimate law. However, Hua Dehong was very anxious and hurriedly signaled to Princess Huafeng with his eyes. How could he let Qin Feiyang and the others benefit from all 3 of the miniatures? However, Princess Huafeng was too embarrassed to ask, as Qin Feiyang had already given her the miniature version of the law of fire. Qin Feiyang glanced at Princess Huafeng and asked the cauldron of all creation, "Do you have more?" Sigh. The cauldron of all creation hesitated for a moment and sighed helplessly. It wanted to say no, but with the blood oath, it did not dare to lie to Qin Feiyang and said, "There are 2 more miniatures." There really are more. Qin Feiyang was stunned. How was this a cauldron? It was simply a treasure bowl. Since there are more, then hurry up and take them out. The madman urged. Ever since he encountered the 3 divine weapons of the cauldron of all creation, he had been pleasantly surprised. Sigh. The cauldron of all creation sighed again. Accompanied by a whoosh, 2 divine lights flew out from the cauldron. At this moment, Qin Feiyang and the others became excited. Because these were the miniature versions of 2 ultimate laws. One was like a wisp of black flame that released an unparalleled devouring power. The other was like a wisp of ice crystal that emitted a terrifying space-time power. The miniature version of the law of devouring. The miniature version of the law of space-time. Not to mention Qin Feiyang and the other juniors, even the eyes of the blood ancestor were filled with desire. The madman came back to his senses and looked inside the cauldron of all creation, but he could not see anything. It was pitch black. He asked, "Are there any other treasures hidden inside? Do you think I'm a treasure bowl?" The cauldron of all creation was furious. How stupid! Apart from the miniature versions of laws, what else could catch the eyes of these divine weapons? Really? The madman did not believe it. "Go in and see for yourself," the cauldron of all creation said angrily. "Okay." The madman really jumped down into the cauldron of all creation. The interior of the cauldron was a space of nothingness. It was boundless and could really contain everything. However, there was nothing else in the entire space. It seemed incomparably empty. "If it wasn't for the blood oath, I would have suppressed you here and never let you escape." A cold snort came from the cauldron of all creation. "Ha!" The madman laughed and quickly left the cauldron of all creation. "How is it?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Indeed, there's nothing left." The madman shook his head. "Okay, you should be satisfied." Qin Feiyang patted the madman's shoulder. Not only did he obtain the 4 divine weapons of the cauldron of all creation, but he also obtained 5 miniature versions of laws. Although there were not many of them, their value was immeasurable. After all, the divine weapons of the sovereigns and the miniature versions of laws were not ordinary divine weapons, herbs, pills, soul lines, crystal veins, and other treasures. Yes, yes, yes. The madman nodded and immediately stared at the miniature versions of the laws of space and time. "Little madman, don't be too greedy. You've already taken the miniature versions of the laws of death and war." The blood ancestor saw that the situation was bad and hurriedly stopped the madman to prevent this kid from getting ahead of him again. "You still need them?" The madman was stunned. "Nonsense. Who doesn't need the miniature versions of the strongest laws? Although I haven't grasped the laws of space and time, as long as I have this miniature version, comprehending the laws of space and time is only a matter of time. Let's talk about it later. I plan to leave this miniature version for Li Feng. He just happens to grasp the laws of space and time." The blood ancestor said. "I see." The madman looked reluctantly at the miniature version. At the same time, Princess Huifeng stared longingly at the miniature version of the Law of Devour. Because she had grasped the miniature version of the Law of Devour. As far as she knew, Qin Feiyang and the madman hadn't comprehended the Law of Devour, so they didn't need it. "We originally agreed to share it equally. But now, senior brother has already taken 2 miniature versions. If we continue to fight, we will be too greedy. Take the miniature versions of the Law of Devour and the Law of Space and Time." Qin Feiyang looked at the blood ancestor and Princess Huifeng and smiled. In fact, he also wanted it, but there was no other way. One couldn't be too greedy. Besides, the future was long, and he might have a chance to get it in the future. As for the Law of Wind, he naturally didn't need it. Because the Tao character formula definitely contained the miniature version of the Law of Wind. As long as he comprehended the ultimate profound, the miniature version would automatically appear. "Thank you." Princess Huifeng was overjoyed when she heard this and immediately went forward to grab the miniature version of the Law of Devour. The blood ancestor also calmly took the miniature version of the Law of Space and Time. All in all, Qin Feiyang and the madman had the advantage. The miniature versions of the 3 laws. The universal cauldron, the heavy sword, and 2 sovereign divine weapons. The blood ancestor and the Feng people each obtained a sovereign divine weapon and a miniature version of the Law of Devour. Seeing Qin Feiyang give up the miniature version of the Law of Devour, Hua Dehong couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. At least his efforts weren't in vain. "Little lackey, you lost both your woman and your wealth." The heavy sword didn't let go of the opportunity to mock him. Scram! The universal cauldron was extremely angry. All of its inheritance was divided up in front of it. Bah bah bah. What inheritance? This is property. Can't you leave some for me? How inhumane. The madman asked telepathically, then, are we going to find the white-eyed wolf next? Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and looked at the heavy sword. How many years ago did you meet Bai Xiaotian? He was already used to calling the white-eyed wolf, so Qin Feiyang wanted to say white-eyed wolf. Fortunately, he reacted in time and casually gave the white-eyed wolf a name. Bai Xiaotian. Not only the heavy sword, but the blood ancestor and the others were also suspicious. Qin Feiyang looked at the heavy sword and smiled. It's that golden-robed young man. So his name is Bai Xiaotian. The blood ancestor and the others nodded in realization. But why hadn't they heard of this name before? They had never seen this person before. Could it be that he had been hiding somewhere in the Black Tortoise realm and had only come out now? The heavy sword thought for a moment and said, I met it 3 years ago. 3 years ago. Qin Feiyang frowned. It had been 3 years. The white-eyed wolf might not still be in the fallen Grand Canyon. However, he had to go and take a look. What if the white-eyed wolf was hiding in the fallen Grand Canyon and cultivating in seclusion? After all, the white-eyed wolf had mastered the law of time and could set up a time array. For it, no matter where it was, it could cultivate. Moreover, the white-eyed wolf was also very smart. It was very likely that it would leave clues or marks in the fallen Grand Canyon that could be traced to its whereabouts. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang looked at everyone and smiled. Let's go to the fallen Grand Canyon immediately. Not fusing with the law miniatures first? Hua Dehong asked. How can we have time to fuse with the miniatures now? Let's wait until we leave the Sky Bell Divine Treasure and then slowly fuse with it. The most important thing now is to take advantage of this opportunity to find more law miniatures. Qin Feiyang smiled. Back then, the little rabbit had said that in order to protect the divine beasts in the land of the buried gods and the purple-gold divine dragon sealed in the core area, it had given the dragons, the Feng people, and the Kirin clan as many as 15 law miniatures. And these law miniatures were all found in the Sky Bell Divine Treasure. And the little rabbit might have more. Since the little rabbit could find so many, as long as they worked hard, they would definitely be able to find a lot. One had to know. Now, Qin Feiyang, the blood ancestor, and the Feng people had joined forces with a large number of sovereign divine weapons. Such a lineup had probably surpassed the little rabbit back then. So, not to say that they had to find more law miniatures than the little rabbit, but at least the difference couldn't be too big. That makes sense. Hua Dehong nodded. I have an idea. We can fuse with it while traveling and also enjoy the benefits of the time array. Princess Huafeng pondered for a while and looked at Qin Feiyang and the other two. What idea? Qin Feiyang was taken aback and quickly asked. Chapter 37-35. Princess Huafeng didn't explain. She turned to Daifuku and said with a smile, I'll have to trouble you. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang and the others were enlightened. This was to let Daifuku return to his original form, and then everyone would get on Daifuku's back. This way, Daifuku would be able to carry them. And here. The only Feng people were Princess Huafeng, Hua Dehong, and Daifuku. Princess Huafeng wanted to fuse with the law miniature. Hua Dehong was Princess Huafeng's grandfather, so he naturally couldn't be used as a mount, so he could only make Daifuku suffer a bit. What's so hard about this? Big Fortune shook his head and smiled. He flew up into the sky. Accompanied by a phoenix cry, a huge fire phoenix appeared in the sky. Its body was over 30,000 meters long. It's too big a target. This isn't good. The blood ancestor shook his head. Okay. Daifuku quickly shrank to about 10 meters, and the power of the divine phoenix spread in all directions. It's about time. The blood ancestor nodded. The group jumped onto Daifuku's back one after another. The blood ancestor immediately set up a time array on Daifuku's back. Madman and Princess Huafeng immediately sat down cross-legged and fused with the law miniature. You guys should also take the opportunity to repair your bodies. Qin Feiyang looked at the 4 sovereign divine weapons. The cauldron, void mirror, and illusory demon orb were fine. They were only slightly damaged because they didn't attack much. However, the heavy sword's injuries were very serious. Its body was severely damaged and would be difficult to recover without a million years. The fallen canyon was in the northeast. There was also the heavy sword to guide the way. And with the blood ancestor, Hua Dahong, and the cauldron, there was no need to worry about safety. Qin Feiyang also sat down cross-legged and continued to comprehend the law of life and death. Now, he had to put aside the other laws and focus on comprehending the law of life and death. Because as long as he comprehended the supreme law of life and death, he would be able to crush the supreme law of life and death. If he comprehended the ultimate law of life and death, even if it was a powerhouse like the blood ancestor or the sovereign divine weapons, he would still be able to crush them. In short, as long as he comprehended the ultimate law of life and death, he would be invincible in the future. Even supreme existences like the Dragon King had to be wary of him. It didn't take much time to fuse with the law miniature. In less than half a day, the Fire Phoenix First Princess successfully fused the Fire Law and the Devouring Law. But this half-day was also 500 years in the time array to be in the time array to similarly. Madman also successfully fused with the law of death and the law of, as she continued cultivating to cultivate to continue to cultivate twos. To work to TTS to waste these rare, Madman opened his eyes and looked up at the blood ancestor who was standing on Big Fortune's head. He asked, Ancestor, there's something I don't understand, too. The blood ancestor asked without turning his head. Qin Feiyang also opened his eyes and looked at the madman suspiciously. The madman asked curiously, shouldn't skeletons that form bodies be divine souls? How can you devour them? Qin Feiyang also looked at the blood ancestor. This question had been puzzling him for a long time. They are different. Even if they form bodies, they don't get rid of the undead energy in their bodies, so they aren't divine souls but souls of the dead. The blood ancestor explained. I see. Qin Feiyang and the madman were enlightened. The madman pondered for a while, then turned to Qin Feiyang and said, Isn't your undead barrier breaking pill used to get rid of undead energy? In that case, the undead barrier breaking pill should be useful to them. Qin Feiyang's heart stirred. He looked up at the blood ancestor and asked, Are the divine king of primal chaos and the 10 demon kings still souls of the dead? Yes. Without special means, the undead energy can't be washed away. The blood ancestor nodded. The divine king of primal chaos? The 10 demon kings? Why are you talking about them? Hua Dahong looked at the 3 in surprise. The madman laughed. You still don't know? Qin Feiyang and your granddaughter met the Black Flame Demon King. If it weren't for the help of the 3 sovereign divine weapons, they would have been finished. What? Hua Dahong looked at Qin Feiyang and Princess Huafeng in shock. They actually met the Black Flame Demon King. Qin Feiyang asked suspiciously, Old Senior, you also know about the Divine King of Primal Chaos? Yes. I've heard of them. When the Sky Bell Divine Treasury opened last time, I also entered, but I didn't see them with my own eyes. I thought it was just a legend, but I didn't expect them to really exist. Are they very strong? Hua Dahong asked. Super strong. The Black Flame Demon King and his sovereign divine weapon, the Black Flame Demon Castle, facing the 2 of them, we and our sovereign divine weapons won't be able to fight them. Unless we suppress them with numbers. Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. Hua Dehong was shocked when he heard this. They were actually such powerful existences. Daifuku was the same. His huge body shook a few times in shock. If the Divine King of Primal Chaos and the 10 Demon Kings are undead, and if the undead barrier breaking pill is really effective on them, then it might be a chance for us. The madman pondered for a while before looking at Qin Feiyang and the Blood Ancestor. Indeed. For people like them, no matter how strong they are still undead. This is undoubtedly a very painful thing for them. If we can help them solve this problem, we might be able to make them have a good impression of us and turn the situation around. The Blood Ancestor nodded. But I don't have any ingredients, pill fire, or pill furnace. Qin Feiyang frowned. Ingredients, pill fire, pill furnace, it shouldn't be difficult to find them. After all, there are so many people here this time. There must be a few alchemists with pill furnaces and pill fires. The Blood Ancestor waved his hand. What about the ingredients? The ingredients for the undead barrier breaking pill are only recorded in the pill scripture. It has long been lost in the sky cloud realm. Even if they carry a lot of ingredients with them, I think they definitely don't have the ingredients for the undead barrier breaking pill. Qin Feiyang said. That makes sense. The Blood Ancestor nodded and raised his eyebrows. Then why don't you carry some ingredients with you? I have already handed over the matter of alchemy to Dan Wangkai. As for me, even I don't know how long it has been since I last refined pills. Let's talk about it later. This undead barrier breaking pill has only been used by Huolian since the very beginning. I have never used it before. How could I possibly carry it around with me? Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. You. This is a waste of such a good alchemy talent. I guess even Dan Wangkai has surpassed you now. The Blood Ancestor stared at Qin Feiyang as if he expected better from Qin Feiyang. He also knows alchemy. Hua Dehong was surprised. Nonsense. His alchemy talent may not be the best in the world, but it can at least be ranked in the top 10 in the sky cloud realm. The Blood Ancestor smiled proudly. Such a good talent, why did you give it up? Others can't even ask for it. Hua Dehong also looked at Qin Feiyang with great regret. Isn't this troublesome? Qin Feiyang laughed dryly. Ah. Hearing this, the Blood Ancestor, Hua Dehong, and Daifuku were speechless. They thought it was an amazing reason, but it turned out that it was just troublesome. How could there be such a willful person in the world? There's nothing to say about this. Let's think about how to find the ingredients for the undead barrier breaking pill. I think the Sky Bell Divine Treasure should have these ingredients. Qin Feiyang glanced at the mountains and rivers below and thought. What kind of ingredients are needed for the undead barrier breaking pill? The Blood Ancestor was puzzled. Let me think, I haven't refined it for too long. My memory is a little fuzzy. Qin Feiyang laughed dryly and lowered his head to think. The Blood Ancestor was speechless. If this was his descendant, he would definitely slap him to death. I remember now. After a long time, Qin Feiyang finally reacted. He raised his head and looked at the Blood Ancestor. The undead spirit breakthrough pill only requires 4 ingredients. They are the undead flower, the death fruit, the yin yang wood, and the extreme yang thunder fire. Undead flower, death fruit, yin yang wood, extreme yang thunder fire. The Blood Ancestor thought for a moment and frowned. These ingredients are definitely difficult to find in the Great Qin and the Ancient Realm, but they don't seem rare in the Sky Cloud Realm. After saying that, the Blood Ancestor looked at Hua Dehong. Hua Dehong pondered for a moment and nodded. They are indeed not rare, but the alchemists of the Sky Cloud Realm have no use for these things. Therefore, the people of the various forces will directly store them in the treasury. The Blood Ancestor pondered for a moment and looked at the dark earth below. Apart from the extreme yang thunder fire, the other 3 are all evil things. It shouldn't be difficult to find them in the Sky Bell Divine Treasure. Everything reinforces and restrains each other. If there are undead flower, death fruit, and yin-yang wood, then there must be extreme yang thunder fire here. Hua Dahong nodded. Yes. We can give it a try. Let's see if we can help the primal chaos divine king and the others wash away the undead chi on them. To be honest, the blood ancestor couldn't help but panic when he was constantly being targeted by experts like the primal chaos divine king and the 10 demon kings. If there was a chance to bury the hatchet, it would naturally be more than welcome. Okay. Then next, not only do we have to look for the law miniatures, but we also have to pay attention to these ingredients. Qin Feiyang nodded. Not only the blood ancestor, but the Feather Emperor also had a grudge with the primal chaos divine king. Therefore, if there was a chance to reconcile, he would try his best to try. However, Hua Dahong had a bad premonition. Looking at the attitude of Qin Feiyang and the blood ancestor, it seemed that they were going to provoke the primal chaos divine king and the 10 demon kings. Was this kind of terrifying existence something they could provoke? It was simply courting death. The madman was silent for a moment before laughing. Actually, it's not like we have no chance of winning against the black-clothed demon king now. Indeed. Qin Feiyang nodded. With the addition of the Void Mirror, Princess Huafeng and Hua Dahong now had 10 sovereign divine weapons. The blood ancestor's strength could fight against a sovereign divine weapon. Now that he had the illusory demon orb, it was undoubtedly like adding wings to a tiger. And on their side, Ancient Castle, Grim Reaper's Sword, Crimson Sword, Ice Phoenix Sword, Golden Dragon Spear, Black Dragon Mirror, White Dragon Sword, Golden Sun Divine Sword, Silver Moon Divine Sword. There was also the All-Creation Cauldron and the Edgeless Heavy Sword. The Edgeless Heavy Sword was the name of the heavy sword. In other words, now, Qin Feiyang had 11 sovereign divine weapons in his hands. No. There seemed to be one missing sovereign divine weapon. It was Qi Yefeng's sovereign divine weapon, Heavenly Star Divine Sword. This meant that Qin Feiyang had a total of 12 sovereign divine armaments by his side. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.